That's her picking up the bag, folding it, putting the evidence tag by a tree, I guess. Is that correct?
I don't know if it was by a tree.
By the edge of the steps.
It appears so.
And now she's picking up the glove.
Yes.
And between, you can finish it. Picking up the knit hat and picking up the glove, she did not change her gloves.
I don't know if she did or not.
Oh, did you see that in your observation? This is not the first time you've observed this tape, is it?
No.
You've looked at it a few times, haven't you? That's okay. You can take it. Let's get rid of this. Okay. Now, when you testified in front of the grand jury 9 days after that occurred, were you asked these questions and did you give these answers?
Can I leave it?
Page 377 to 378, starting at line 8. Question: was one of these items a brown man's leather glove? Answer: yes, it was. Question: directing your attention to the set of photographs, People's 26, and you recall that when you testified in the grand jury was photographs of the Bundy glove, correct?
I don't recall, but
You recall being shown that in the grand jury, photographs of the Bundy glove?
I recall photographs, but I don't remember what
All right.
number it was.
You don't remember it was 26, but you recall during your testimony that Ms. Clark pointed to pictures of the Bundy glove.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us if you see the glove you have just referred to? Answer: if I may take a closer look. Yes. Answer: yes. The glove I'm referring to is shown there in photograph A. The person is pointing to it there. It's also in photograph B in the bottom of the left-hand corner. It's in photograph C.
Hello there, Aaron. It is great to see you. And shout out to you. I am. Okay, and that's Bubbles using his scratch box right there. Okay, so. Oh, I hope everything went well for you today. My day was fine. Oh, with. I saw some of the trials today, and the crazy chat where some people were like arguing amongst themselves about different opinions on the verdict. There's some trolls, not the verdict, but on the trial itself, on guilty or innocent. There were there was that, and I spent some time with the cat today. And as I said before, I'm going to get the stuff ready for the gardening, and we'll do content about that as well. There's gonna be some cooler weather coming my way, but it's been kind of hot for now. A lot of people are very interested in this OJ trial that we're learning about, and as I said, a lot of people are having like throwback to that time. So, of so this, as I said, this is like one of the best ones we've covered so far. All right, and anything else? Yeah, I believe most likely there will be. Also, I'll be going live tomorrow as well, a different time than the time right now. It'll be a little bit earlier, but this night was the time we went live. Now there was an internet problem way earlier in the afternoon, and then I got it fixed eventually. Uh, but yeah, so glad to have that all checked out, because sometimes it has a Timu moment. I think the machine itself just didn't have enough. They didn't design it with enough fans in it, or a proper fan in it, so it gets overheated and it starts lagging. That's what it is. So they have to probably update that in the machine, because the overheating can cause the functioning to not be what it could be. All right. All right. So now we'll be continuing the trial. coverage, trial reaction.
Next to the photo ID. Question, in photographs A, B, and C, do they actually depict the glove in the location and condition you found it? Yes. Question, what did you do with respect to that glove? Answer.
Hello, Moki. Good evening to you. Welcome to the chat as well. Glad to have you with us. So, oh yeah. I would like to know if you'd like to talk about any quests you did today, how that went, because you've been on hello Bubbles. You've been on quite a few quite a few quests lately, and we know also about the interview you talked about, and that was very cool info, and I hope everything works well with that. We also was kind of like talking about some stuff that I got done earlier and eventually got here. There's some protests going on in Minnesota over the ICE agents over a shooting that happened. That's something like in the national news going on, and Bubbles right here is excited for the stream and to know more about the OJ trial. Yeah. Okay. So now continuing.
Initially, I measured to see, to locate where it was, found, documented that location, and then placed it in a paper bag for later processing. We asked those questions. Did you give those answers?
Yes.
And that testimony wasn't accurate, was it?
That I personally did all that stuff? No.
Right. You did not tell the grand jury that Andrea Mazzola was the one that picked up the hat and picked up the glove, right?
That's correct.
Now, you did not tell the grand jury when you were describing collecting this evidence about the existence of Andrea Mazzola at all, did you?
Well, it's irrelevant unless he was asked who else was there.
Sustained.
Well, you were asked a whole series of questions in the grand jury about how evidence was collected.
Yes.
And you were asked specifically about...
Hello there, Roxy. Great to see you. Welcome.
items that you considered at that time important to this case.
Well,
Sustained. It's irrelevant. What he thought was important at that time.
Well,
But I think you've already established that what the testimony was, counsel.
okay. And that testimony you gave the grand jury was under oath.
Yes.
Now, did you decide on your own not to mention to the grand jury that Andrea Mazzola was involved in collecting the evidence in this case?
I don't think it was a conscious decision one way or the other. It's just I gave the answers as they were asked to me.
And left her out.
Yes.
And you didn't have any discussions with anyone at the laboratory, SID, before you testified? Or did you have any discussions with anybody at the laboratory before you testified?
Concerning what?
Concerning your testimony.
Before the grand jury?
Yes.
I don't recall.
You talked with, who's Michelle Kessler?
Michelle Kessler is the chief forensic chemist. She's the lab director of our laboratory.
Did you discuss your testimony with Michelle Kessler before you went before the grand jury?
I don't recall discussing it with her.
Did you discuss your testimony with Greg Matheson?
I don't believe so.
He at that time was the head of serology.
Yes.
Did you discuss your testimony in the grand jury with Ms. Clark?
I don't believe so.
Before you testified in the grand jury, you did not discuss your testimony with Ms. Clark?
I don't recall discussing it with her, no.
So I take it then that there was no discussion between, withdrawn. Did you have a discussion with anyone else in the district attorney's office before you testified at the grand jury?
I don't recall discussing the case with anybody, no.
So there were no discussions whatsoever before you testified in the grand jury in this case about your testimony with anyone from the district attorney's office?
I don't recall any.
So in other words, the failure to mention that Andrea Mazzola was involved in the collection of evidence in this case was something that you decided to do on your own.
Your Honor, I'll object because there's no evidence he was asked.
Well,
It wasn't a conscious decision. That's just the way I answered the questions.
Did you answer those questions in that way, leaving Andrea Mazzola out, because you were worried about the fact that a trainee had been involved in collecting important items of evidence in this case?
No.
Not just involved, but she had a major role, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Not only did she collect the bloodstains that we've talked about and the glove and the hat, but she also did crime scene diagrams
Yes.
of Rockingham
Yes.
and Bundy.
Yes.
Now, you subsequently testified at a preliminary hearing in this case, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And at the preliminary hearing, were you asked these questions and did you give these answers? And out of completeness, I'm starting at testimony of July 7th at page 39, line 17. Tell me when you're ready, Mr. Goldberg.
all right, Mr. Scheck,
Can I?
proceed.
Question. How do you collect blood stains from a crime scene? Answer. Generally, stains are transferred onto a swatch by first wetting the swatch with distilled water, applying it to the stain so the blood is absorbed onto the swatch, and at that point it's put into a plastic bag and then put into a coin envelope where it is labeled with the corresponding photo ID number. Question. Is it also your job, sir, to package all of the evidence that you collect and label it with what is known as a DR number? Answer. Yes, it is. Question. And did you do so in this case? Answer. Yes, I did. Now I'm going to direct your attention to items number 1 through 8. Those are the Bundy, the stains at Rockingham, correct?
1 through 8, some of them were stains. Yes.
Did you prepare a report documenting what items numbers 1 through 8 are in this case? Answer. Yes, I did. Did you collect them, sir? I did, along with my assistant criminalist, Mazzola. Question. Is that another criminalist with the Los Angeles Police Department? Answer. Yes. Question. Do you usually send 2 criminalists to a crime scene? Answer. Not always, no. Question. What was this criminalist doing with you on that particular day? Answer. She was there to learn how to process crime scenes. Answer. You were showing her how it is done? Answer. Yes. Were you asked those questions and did you give those answers?
Yes.
All right. Now, when you said that Andrea Mazzola was there to learn how to process crime scenes and you were showing her how it was done, you were intending to convey, were you not, that you did most of the work and she was observing you.
I don't know if that was my intention with that statement.
Well, this was a preliminary hearing that you knew on national television.
Yes.
And did you have any reluctance in testifying that it was Andrea Mazzola that swatched primarily? All right, you said you swatched 1 or 2 times the Bundy blood drops, is that right?
May have been more than that.
She did primarily all the Bundy blood drops, right?
She did a good portion of them, yes.
And she did the Rockingham blood stains exclusively.
Well, it's vague as to whether you mean swatching or what.
She swatched the Rockingham blood stains exclusively.
I wouldn't say exclusively.
Well, you didn't swatch the blood stains at Rockingham, did you?
There may have been times when I did take and show her techniques that I use.
Do you remember that now as you sit here?
I may have.
Well,
I don't.
did you or didn't you?
To the best of I don't recall specifically which ones, but I do recall having manipulated or not manipulated, but taken the tweezers and used them at Rockingham.
You do?
Yes. But she did the most
She
of the...
did most of it,
She
right?
did most of it, yes.
Right. But when you were testifying at the preliminary hearing, you were saying that you were showing her how it was done, and weren't you trying to convey the impression that you did it and she was thus just there as an observer?
I object because it misstates this testimony.
Sustain.
You were asked at the preliminary hearing, in these questions and answers that I read to you, do you usually send two criminalists to a crime scene? And your answer was not always no. You recall that?
Yes.
Now, wouldn't it be is it the policy of the LAPD Scientific Investigation Unit to send at least two criminalists to a double homicide such as this case?
I wouldn't... At that time?
Yeah.
At that time, there was no hard and fast rule to send two criminals to a double, no.
It's your testimony that on June 13th, as far as you were concerned, it would not be the policy of the Scientific Investigations Unit of the LAPD to send two criminalists to a double homicide.
That's not the policy at that time, no.
Sorry. Well, you're aware, I just have a few minutes for the break. You're aware that there is a policy about notifying supervisors in certain cases.
Yes.
All right? And is this in that manual, do you know, the manual that you are not so sure you're familiar with?
I have not reviewed that manual that you're referring to.
Well, how
if
do you
it
know about this
exists.
policy?
This is a policy that was given to the criminalists verbally.
Okay, so
Of
you
the
got this
laboratory.
verbally, you've never seen a piece of paper about this policy.
Well, what policy are you referring to?
Well, do you know of a policy that says that supervisors must be notified immediately when a case, number one, involves an individual or a group of notoriety?
Yes.
And that the second factor in this policy is that there might be a significant number of press at the scene.
Your Honor, this line of questioning is irrelevant.
Oh. That is one of the factors in determining whether to call a supervisor, yes.
Right. And the reason that press is important, would you not agree, is that when the press get to a scene, that makes it difficult sometimes for criminals to collect evidence.
Not generally, no.
Well, if the press arrives at a scene, sometimes that draws a crowd.
Yes.
It may be difficult to keep people away from the crime scene, getting into it.
It's a possibility.
And the policy about immediate notification of supervisors includes any case that might be considered unusual
Yes.
and involves two more than 2 murders, correct? More than 2 victims.
Yes.
Right, so out of the 4 factors, wouldn't you agree that this case certainly fit in to at least 3?
Of notifying a supervisor?
Yes.
Yes.
And the reason cases are picked out to notify supervisors is that these are the kinds of cases that would involve additional support and extra attention.
Possibly.
And you knew right away that this was that kind of case, right?
I knew this was going to be a high-profile case.
And when you testified in the grand jury, you knew that this kind of case, from the moment you got it on June 13th, would be that kind of case.
A high-profile case?
Well, high profile, one that would involve press, one that was unusual.
I don't know if it's unusual, but it is high-profile.
One that would involve immediate notification of supervisors.
Yes.
One that would likely call for at least 2 criminalists.
I can't determine what a supervisor would say in that
All right.
instant.
I guess this is an appropriate place to stop.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess as far as the jury is concerned now until tomorrow morning. Please remember all of my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't fight over the TV. Don't allow anybody to communicate with you with regard to the case. Don't conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. Be kind to each other. All right? I'll see you back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. All right, Mr. Fung, you may step down. You're ordered to return at 9 o'clock. All right, good morning, counsel. Anything we need to put on the record before we invite the jurors to join us? All right, Deputy Jacks, let's have the jury, please. Members of our jury panel. Mrs. Robertson, would you please draw the number of an alternate juror?
Juror number 795, please have a seat in seat number 9.
All right, at the conclusion of the morning session this morning, Mrs. Robertson will renumber the seats. All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Fung, would you resume the witness stand, please? All right, good morning, Mr. Fung. You're reminded you were still under oath, sir. Mr. Sheck, you may continue with your cross-examination.
Morning, Mr. Fung.
Good morning.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Mr. Fung, you mentioned yesterday in your testimony that you were aware that there was a protocol and procedures manual at SID.
Objection, that mistakes the testimony.
This is overruled. Said he was aware of it, hadn't seen it. Yes or no? Are you aware of it?
I am aware of a manual. I don't know if it's in effect or not, though.
Yes, just to be precise, I think I asked you, are you familiar with the Field Procedures Manual? And you answered, I am. I know one has been written, but it has not been put into effect. Is that what you said yesterday?
I may have said that. I don't
Okay.
recall exactly.
And now, are you telling us, sir, that as far as you know, there is no manual in effect that establishes protocols and procedures for your crime laboratory?
Well, that's overruled.
Overruled. Is there a manual?
I'm not aware of one.
Well, I think you said before you know one has been written, right?
I know a draft has been written.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to mark this volume
You can mark it.
next in order. I mean,
Next in order.
Just show it to the... Now, why don't you take a look at that volume, sir, the table of contents, and read through it and see if it refreshes your recollection as to whether or not you've seen any of those documents before.
Yes, I have.
Oh, so you have seen this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So are you telling us that you've seen that, but you don't know whether those protocols and procedures are in effect? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know that this manual is policy for our laboratory. It may be just a rough draft right now, subject to review.
Well, it contains various protocols and procedures for criminalists, does it not?
It contains proposed procedures for criminalists, yes.
So in other words, you've seen these written protocols and procedures, but as far as you're concerned, you don't necessarily have to follow them? Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying, no.
Okay. Are the protocols and procedures in that manual rules that you believe you have to follow?
I have not reviewed the entire manual, so I can't state yes or no for that.
Okay. Then, as they come up, perhaps we'll look at them one at a time, and if you want, that volume's yours, and you can take it over the lunch period and look at it. Fair enough?
Sounds.
Sustained.
Now,
That last comment is stricken. The jury is to disregard it.
all right. Well, is it your position, sir, that the protocols and procedures at the crime lab are communicated orally?
They are communicated through an SID academy that is given to criminalists in our division. Some of the procedures have been handed out, and much of it is oral and through experience on the job training.
Okay. So there are some written handouts that you get,
I have received handouts before, yes.
and some of them, just in your quick perusal, seem to be in that manual.
Yes.
And others are sort of communicated orally,
Some of them are communicated orally, yes.
sort of an oral tradition within the laboratory.
Yes.
Now, this document, this manual, that's in the evidence processing room for purposes of reference, isn't it?
To the best of my recollection, I think it is kept in there, but
And
I
the
don't
reason it's kept there is in case somebody needs to look at it, it would inform them as to the procedures and protocols contained within it.
Objection, called for speculation.
Oh, do you know?
that is possible.
And there's also one of these manuals in your crime scene response truck.
I'm not sure of that.
Well, why don't you look at, may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Volume 1, page 1, let me call your attention to...
Wait a minute, may I approach Your Honor?
just-
You may.
Yeah, please do.
Before counsel reads anything.
Not going to read anything, I'm just going to direct the witness's attention to a paragraph, ask him to read it, and see if it refreshes his recollection.
Your Honor, I'd object to the procedure because there's no foundation his recollection needs to be refreshed.
Sustained.
Do you recall whether or not it's required that this manual is supposed to be in the crime scene response truck?
I don't know if it is supposed to be there or not.
All right, so perhaps you could look at the first paragraph there and see if it refreshes your recollection as to whether or not a copy of this manual is supposed to be in the crime scene response truck.
Your Honor, I object, same objection.
Overruled on that ground.
According to the paragraph, it says it should be.
Your Honor, I don't believe the witness was asked to read, so I asked out loud. So it's not response.
Right, sustained. We have a major foundation problem here.
I think he indicated he wasn't sure. Okay.
That's right.
You spent how long in the trace analysis unit?
Approximately 3.5 years.
And that would be what period?
That would be from 1987 to 1990.
Are you aware of whether or not a copy of this manual is supposed to be in the trace analysis unit?
At that time,
At any time, to your knowledge?
to the best of my knowledge, this was not created until after I left the unit.
Well, when was this manual created?
I don't know.
Well, you said you left in 1990.
Yes,
Would this manual have been pulled together 1992?
Calls for speculation.
Overruled.
there is a date at the bottom of the page that says Rev A 1992.
Now, is it your understanding, sir, that this manual is supposed to establish the protocols and procedures for the daily operation of the crime scene field
Let me see
unit?
counsel at sidebar with the reporter, please. Thank you, counsel. Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe you told us yesterday, sir, that you got a call to respond on this case at about 5 a.m. from Ms. Mazzola.
No,
What time was it?
approximately 5:30.
5:30. And at that time, what did she tell you?
She informed me that there was a scene we needed to respond to in the West LA division.
Anything more than that?
She may have said it was a homicide.
And you then met her next at the SID laboratory?
Yes.
Well, she picked you up, I guess, at home, is that it?
No. We met at the laboratory.
And about what time was that?
It was approximately 6:45, around there.
So the first call that you got about this case was, you're saying, at 5:35?
I believe I said around 5:30.
Around 5:35. And you now realize that that's about 5 hours, 5.5 hours after Officer Risky first discovered the victims at the scene on Bundy.
Sustained.
Well, when you conferred with the detectives later in this case, did you ever learn when the first officer arrived at the scene?
Hearsay.
Overruled. Yes or no?
I don't recall being informed of the exact time that the bodies were found.
were you informed as to when the scene was secured?
I'm sorry, can I have that question?
Were you ever informed,
You've got it right there in front of you.
Receipts.
were you ever informed of when the crime scene at Bundy was first secured?
It may have been discussed by Detective Lang when he gave me my walkthrough.
When you arrived, you arrived at the Rockingham location about 7:15?
According to my notes, I arrived at Rockingham at 7:10.
7:10. And when you arrived at Rockingham, did Detective Van Adder tell you that there was another crime scene at Bundy?
Yes, he did.
And he told you that 2 people had been murdered there?
Your Honor, that calls for hearsay.
Sustain.
Did you learn in your discussions with Detective Van Adder that there were 2 victims at Bundy and the bodies had been discovered at 12?
Same objection.
Sustain.
Is there any requirement that the criminalists should arrive at the crime scene as soon as possible?
A requirement?
Yes. Any rules or procedures as to how long it should take for a criminalist to arrive at a crime scene once you receive a call?
Once we receive a call, we try to respond within an hour if it is possible.
Within an hour?
We try to, yes.
Okay. So, Ms. Mazzola called you at 5:30,
Yes.
and you got to the scene at Rockingham at what time you're telling us?
7:10.
7:10. So, what's that, an hour and 15 minutes from the time you were called?
An hour and 40 minutes.
40
Why?
minutes. Better. So about 2 hours, right?
No, an hour and 40 minutes.
Hour and 40 minutes. Ms. Mazzola was called, you realize, at 5 o'clock, right?
What calls for hearsay?
Sustain.
Were you ever informed that Ms. Mazzola received her first call at 5 a.m.?
Same objection.
Sustain.
So your response time to Rockingham was an hour and 40 minutes.
Yes, it was.
All right. Now, when you got to Rockingham, you had a conversation with Detective Van Adder, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And it's a requirement that you should have a discussion immediately with the officer in charge of the investigation.
A requirement?
Yeah. Aren't you supposed to start your activities at the crime scene with a conversation with the officer that's in charge of the scene?
It's preferable.
Well, on your crime scene investigation checklist, isn't there a category indicating crime scene discussed with officer in charge?
There is a place for a check mark, yes.
And isn't that the first thing you're supposed to do, is have a discussion with the detective or the officer in charge of the scene?
No,
You're not supposed to do that?
no.
When are you supposed to do that?
After you check in with the login officer.
All right, so you log in, and then the first thing you do is have a discussion with the detective in charge of the scene.
If it is possible, yes.
All right? And the reason that you have a discussion with the detective in charge of the scene is to find out what it is you're supposed to be investigating,
Yes.
and to find out what possible evidence exists at the scene that may need to be collected.
Yes.
And you had such a discussion with Detective Van Adder when you arrived at Rockingham?
Yes.
And did you learn that you weren't just going to be collecting evidence at Rockingham, that you would soon have to go to Bundy?
Yes.
And that there were 2 victims at Bundy?
Yes.
And was there any discussion about the victims at Bundy being very close to evidence in terms of their physical proximity?
Sustain.
Would it be important for you to know what kind of crime scene you were going to have to going to after Rockingham?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah. When you got to Rockingham, all right, you knew you would be having to go to Bundy next, correct?
Yes.
All right. Were you told that Detective Lang was waiting for you at Bundy?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
Sustain.
Court TV on the game. All right. Okay, oh. Okay. That almost fell off the table. Okay, Dr. Spencer TP Tepe, I don't know how to say it. A 37-year-old dentist who was tragically murdered with his wife Monique in the Columbus, Ohio home on December 30, 2025. The phrase has become associated with the high-profile unsolved double homicide case that has gained national media attention. Dr. Spencer and his wife Monique. Incident, they were found fatally shot in their home on the morning of December 30, 25, after a coworker called for a welfare check when Dr. T uncharacteristically failed to show up for work. Circumstances, their young children aged 1 and 4 were found physically unharmed inside the house. There were no signs of forced entry and no weapon was found at the scene, leading police to rule out murder-suicide. Right, and Chrissy says, very strange, it's either he did it and killed her, or they answered the door and got ambushed. Yeah. Because I'm thinking to myself, it's not either of those things. It has to be something. So, yeah, either somebody, they did a home invasion on them, and it was just very cleverly done, or he did it. But, yeah, they ruled out murder-suicide. But, I mean, it had to have happened some kind of a way. So, yeah, so it's certainly a mystery. Whoever did this was very clever. The Columbus Division of Police investigating of the deaths as a double homicide. The killer remains at large. Authorities have released surveillance footage of a person of interest and are actively seeking information from the public to solve the case. Thank you, Chrissy. It was an ambush. Okay. I remember one of the trials in the West. It was in the Dakota. Somewhere in that region. There are these trials where they ruled out a suicide using Basoli's method, where the blood drains out the body and a certain way. Because if someone shoots, this is a your discretion advised. Somebody shoots themselves, and someone shoots someone, the blood drains to the body differently. So they're able to tell most of the time how it would look, or what probably happened. Yeah. Dr. T was a respected dentist in the Athens Dental Depot and a graduate of the Ohio State University. Family and friends described the couple as madly in love and devoted parents. Spencer was found hanging off the bed. All right. Distressing circumstances involving multiple failed wellness checks and a friend witnessing the scene through a window. At approximately 8:38 a.m., Dr. Mark Valrose, owner of Spencer's dental practice, called 911 from Florida after Spencer uncharacteristically failed to show up for work and could not be reached. Yeah, yeah. I mean, whoever did this has done it before, probably. He's laying next to his bed in his blood. Can't get closer. It seems more than that. All right, this is the evidence details. The investigators recovered three 9mm shell casings at the scene. There were no signs of forced entry and no weapon was recovered, leading to authorities to rule out murder-suicide, investigate the case as a double homicide. The murders occurred between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. on December 30. On Authorities have not named suspects or established definitive motive in the murders of Spencer and Monique. However, investigators and experts have highlighted several factors and point toward targeted personal attack. Most investigators include retired FBI family agent familiar with the case, believe the murders were not random. No forced entry. There were no signs of a break-in suggesting the killer might have had a key or a new code or was let in by the victim. So maybe they let them in or they had a code or a key. Children and dog. The couple's two young children and their dog Larry were left physically unharmed, which is often characteristic of a killer who has specific grievance with adults and no intent to harm innocent bystanders. Emotional execution. Some forensic experts have characterized the scene as an emotional execution, noting that Spencer was reportedly shot multiple times, a possible sign of an overkill that suggests a person's grudge or a high level of anger toward him specifically. Police confirmed there are no signs of a robbery and the home was not ransacked. Nothing was reported missing, making the burglary gone wrong theory unlikely. Public interest has focused on a 911 call from April 25 made by T's residents reporting a domestic dispute. While some speculated this incident internal family trouble, a relative later clarified the call was not made by Monique and may have occurred during a gathering where other people were present. Police are investigating victimology, the history of the relationships of both Spencer and Monique, to see if any past conflicts could have led to the shooting. Person of interest. Columbus police released surveillance footage of person of interest seen walking in an alley near the home between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. on the night of the murders. The individual was wearing light-colored pants and a dark hooded jacket. Police are using his video to generate tips but have not confirmed if this person is a deleter killer. They said maybe someone whose teeth were not the way they wanted. But I don't believe that. Yeah, that would be wild if that's how it was. There are sometimes dental issues can be a problem. A separate subject. People can have issues with dentists, like if their teeth didn't go right. But that is a kind of like a ironic if that was true, but it's not likely true. Was somebody refused service? Was it hypothetically a love triangle or something of that nature? Well, those are just some speculations about what could have occurred, especially since they either had a key or were let in. So that shows a sign there could have been a relationship with the person, or they knew them well enough to be able to get into the house somehow. Or their stalking methods were incredible and they're able to get this information some other way. Very weird, and guess we have to see what happens. They saw a guy walking with a hood up. I don't know who he is on camera. Alright, let's see some more information about that. The individual appears to be male, wearing a dark hooded jacket with the hood pulled up and light colored pants. Actions on camera. The person is seen walking with their head down and hands tucked in the pockets. They were recorded moving through a snow-lined back alley toward the T's residential garage. Experts observed video noted the person did not appear to be in a hurry, suggesting a level of confidence or familiarity with the area. Person was filmed between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. on December 30, 2025, which matches the window in which investigators believe Spencer and Monique were deleted killed. Significance. Because it was extreme cold that night, authorities believe a few people would have been out walking at that hour, being an individual critical lead. They think he may have had a gun in his pocket. Yeah, well, we never know. Yeah. Now, I don't know how locks work now, but I've seen in crime movies where people could have like a pick and they pick open a door. But it's possible that this person had to have a relationship with the person. They knew each other for them to be able to get into the house, be as confident about it, and or they were able to persuade them to let them in or trick them to come inside. That is a possibility. Or if it was a stalker, they just had incredible skills to, I don't mean incredible as a good thing, but like a really skilled at doing what they're doing, and I'm sure they're experienced with it before. Most likely. Oh, silencer. Okay. Yeah, it's possible. Okay, silencer, because I'm thinking like the kids and the dog would have been not would have been upset beyond measure if they hear a boom in their house. Okay, so they had a silencer too. I've heard from crime research that you can get like a thing to put over a pew pew gun to make it a silencer. But of course, they have regular silencers that people could get. Almost like a spy. This person, I'd say, possibly could even be a hitman. It sounds like. It's like they had a silencer and these gadgets to get in. It's almost like a movie. So, yeah, they. And I will even say a possibility that it was an assassin sent by somebody that knew him that wanted him taken out. Like the person that wanted this done didn't do it all themselves, they had someone else do it. That's a hypothetical theory that I'm alleging. Yeah, so it's. And if they were never arrested, the fingerprints wouldn't be on anything. They wouldn't be able to be identified. An ambush, but who? Okay, yes. And that way you have like a buffer if you have someone else do the dirty work. That's a professional. Like say it's like somebody wants, of course I'm going to say that I don't know anything about this because I have never done anything like this before. I just study criminology a lot. But that disclaimer out the way, and this is for educational purposes only. So that stuff out the way, they say somebody wants the person taken out, right? They would send an assassin, and this person was so skilled at being an assassin where they wouldn't be traced, and they probably do it all the time. But the other person who was responsible for it, whoever they are, person X, even if they couldn't be traced to the crime at all because they had someone else do it. And if it's the person that wanted them taken out that did it, they were just really skilled at doing an assassination like this. Yeah, indeed. So, like this person that wanted him taken out had to be like, okay, they knew to get the silencer to go inside, so at the right time when no one was watching. Another thing I want you to understand, they could have been staking out. There's something called the stakeouts, right? So they're staking out the place that they knew what time to go in and execute this operation. Because Banfield has it on now. Ashley Banfield. Oh yeah, I remember her, the ballerina. So this is the person, whoever it is, knew the terrain. They knew when to do and execute this, and they could have been stalking the area for longer than it happened. Now, I will say with certainty that if it's a person that had beef with them, they knew how to do this assassination stuff very well. Or the person had an assassin go in there and do it. Those are my two theories. It's over now. Oh, did Spencer and Mo know the killer? She said. Oh, okay. Scared. Okay, thank you, Chrissy. All right, as of January 26th, general findings from the agencies like FBI's reporting and Bureau of Justice statistics highlight the following. Relationship to the victim. In homicides with no forced entry, there is a high probability that the perpetrator was known to the victims. The offender may have someone they trusted enough to let inside, or someone with prior access to the home, family member, friend, or someone who knew the security code. Targeted nature. These crimes are often considered targeted rather than random. When a perpetrator enters a home with force and carries out a specific violent act like the T case, it suggests they had a specific grievance or emotional motive rather than a financial one like robbery. Crimes of opportunity. In property crimes like burglary, no forced entry often points to a crime of opportunity. The offenders may simply test doorknobs or windows until they find one unlocked. Statistical data shows that roughly 34% of the burglars enter through an unlocked front door. Lack of ransacking. Unlike typical burglaries, targeted violent crimes with no forced entry often lack evidence of ransacking, searching for valuables. The offender typically moves directly to the victim's location. Offender sophistication. A lack of forced entry does not always mean the door was open. It can indicate sophisticated offender who use specialized tools like lockpicks or bumping keys. Depictive tactics, like posing as a maintenance worker or delivery person that leaves no physical marks. Investigators look for a personal vendetta or domestic issue. Notes that 65% of the violent burglaries where victim was present, the offender was known to them. All right, so that is the possibilities and the theories about what this could have been about. And let's see any leads. Investigation into the murders of Spencer and Monique is highly active, though no suspect has been named or arrested. Arrests have been named. All right, so since releasing the footage on January 5 of a person of interest in a dark hoodie and light pants, police reports they have received numerous tips from the public Detectives are working to determine if the individual is the killer or a witness who was in the alley between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Neighbor's 911 call. A neighbor living a 3-minute walk away reported someone banging on her door at 2:31 a.m., just 11 days before the murders. Police are looking into whether this incident is related to the person seen in the surveillance footage. Like, somebody could say they're hurt and they need to get inside because they're in danger, but it's actually a trick. April 2025 domestic call. Authorities have officially clarified that the previous 911 hang-up call traced to the area in April was not made by Monique. Family members believe the call may have been a neighbor's phone pinging at their address. Digital evidence. Investigators racing to preserve any additional Ring doorbell or dash cam footage from the Windland Park neighborhood to trace the person of interest's path. Yes, correct, Chrissy. Exactly. And it could have been like a serial killer. That just is like picking on houses like that. And it wasn't a friend or an assassin. Well, it's an assassin serial killer, so that means is the person was is into this, doing these evil things. So they were doing it for a thrill, some sort of a thrill seeker. A thrill seeker doesn't mean they're going to do stuff like that, but it's someone that depraved fantasy. So they just want to do it, and there's possibilities that there's test runs they do until they actually go into the leap of the unknown. And yeah, because someone's banging on a door, I'm bleeding to death, I need help right now, or somebody's stalking me or whatever, and they go and swoop in and do their attack. There's been a lot of doorbell footage of incidences where people of all ages like knock on a door. Sometimes they use a woman and say, "Oh, something's happening to me, let me in." But it may not really be what you think. It's probably there's like a group hiding behind a wall, and then this person lures the people in to do the storm. That happens a lot with robberies or people that are just creeps. They want you to, they want to storm in the house and do whatever they want to do. So that's a possibility, especially since another house was targeted. Maybe it was some person that was just trying to delete somebody. Yeah. Forensic evidence recovered 3 9mm shell casings from the scene, which are being analyzed. All right, and let's see this. Investigators are currently evaluating just 11 days before the murders, determined if it's linked to the Spencer and Monique killings. All right, so some more details about the banging. That's what we're talking about right now. Details of the banging incident. The incident at 2:31 a.m. on December 19, a woman living just down the street from the TPs reported someone aggressively smashing and banging on her door. The caller's fear. The neighbor told dispatchers, "I think they're trying to get in. They're banging on my doors," and she was too afraid to look or identify the person. Outcome: disturbance ended approximately 13 minutes later at 2:44 a.m. when the individual left that area. Is that interesting, Chrissy? The murder happened to the teepees around 2 to 5 a.m. and this happened around 2:44 a.m. Wow. Connection to the murder investigation. While police have not officially confirmed a link, this incident is considered a significant lead for several reasons. Timing. The beginning, the banging occurred between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., which directly mirrors the estimated time frame of the TP murders, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Proximity. The incident happened on the same street, raising the possibility that the perpetrator was casing houses or looking for an easy point of entry in the neighborhood. Behavioral red flags. Criminologists note that banging on doors is a common tactic used by intruders to test if a home is occupied or if the resident will react before they attempt to enter. So that's a possibility this might be linked. Columbus police are racing to preserve and collect additional surveillance footage from neighbors, specifically from December 19 late. They hope to see if the person seen in January 5 surveillance video is the same individual who was harassing neighbors earlier in the month. To determine if the person surveillance footage is individual who's banging on the doors, investigators are using combination of digital breadcrumbing, advanced. This is how they're going to try to figure out who the person is. Advanced video, digital breadcrumbing, advanced video enhancement, and forensic evidence. All right, digital breadcrumbing. Yeah, long time from a trial, but you were just informing. Oh, thank you. This is very interesting. I like going down this rabbit hole. All right, digital breadcrumbing. The movements of tracking. Police are attempting to create a map of the suspect's movements by linking together private and public cameras. Modern AI-driven analytics can track a suspect's movements across multiple locations, matching gait, height, and clothing patterns even when face isn't clear. Geographical canvassing. Straight, okay. Using tools like Amazon Ring partnerships, Columbus police have required all footage with specific radius of the crime scene. If the person of December 30 followed a similar path as a person on December 19, they can establish a pattern of behavior. Cell tower dumps. The detectives can use cell tower evidence to see which mobile devices were active in a specific alley between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. on the night of the murders. Since the surveillance footage is grainy, specialized techniques are used to pull out identifying details. Strange. Okay, strange. Indeed. Averaging, this forensic method combines multiple frames from video into a single high-resolution image, which can reveal subtle details like unique logo on a jacket, a specific scar, or the exact make of shoes. Blurry images can sometimes be cross-referenced with government database such as driver's license, social media, using software like O's and Liveness or Kairos AR. Ballistics and tool marks. 3 9mm shell casings found at the scene provide fingerprints of the weapon used. NIBIN database. Columbus Police use National Integrated Ballistics Information Network to see if the specifics. Alien is going deep in this. A deep dive in the rabbit hole. To see if it's been fired or other recent crimes, such as the reported door banging incident, nearby shots fired calls. Rapid processing. A 2023 partnership has significantly reduced the time it takes for Columbus Police to process the evidence, moving from 60 days down to just 2 or 3 days in some cases. Historically, the most common way for suspects to these cases are identified is through tips from friends, family, or coworkers who recognize the person's clothing or distinctive walk after seeing the footage on the news. All right, and that is the rabbit hole of the Dr. T murder case, mystery case. All right, thank you, Chrissy, for let me know about that. That's the information that has been found. Yeah, Chrissy, thank you for keeping me posted. I'll be looking into this, and thank you for letting me know about it. And we'll see a trial one day, at some point, I believe. All right, and let's go over here.
How were you given instructions by Detective Van Adder to just collect one stain at Rockingham and then move on to Bundy?
No.
Were you ever informed that there was a plan for the criminalists first to go to Bundy, just collect a red stain off the Bronco, and then move as quickly as possible to Bundy?
Sustained.
Right, may we approach for a minute?
Sure, with the reporter. The audience, I think that particular incident spoke for itself. Hold on. Mr. Schick.
Thank you. Mr. Fung, when you arrived at the Rockingham crime scene, did Detective Van Atter tell you that Detective Lang was waiting for you at Bundy?
I don't specifically recall if he mentioned it was Detective Lang himself, but he did mention there was another scene at Bundy.
Right. And did he tell you that at that scene there were, it was a double homicide and there were 2 victims' bodies there?
Yes.
And was there a discussion of the need to arrive at Bundy before the coroners? For the criminalists to get there before the coroners?
No.
Generally speaking, isn't it certainly desirable for the criminalists to arrive at a homicide scene before the coroners?
From my point of view,
Yes.
yes.
And the reason that you want to arrive at a homicide scene before the coroners is you want an opportunity to examine the scene and the evidence at the scene before the bodies are removed.
Yes.
And that's because you want to be able to document that scene in its original condition as best you can.
That's preferable that that is done, yes.
So you want to be able to take measurements,
Yes.
you want to be able to direct the forensic photographer about where to take pictures.
Yes.
You want to be able to preserve fragile trace evidence as best you can,
Yes.
collect it in such a way that the integrity of the evidence is preserved,
If necessary, yes.
get to that crime scene before anybody walks through it who is not required to be there.
Yes.
So when you arrived at Rockingham now, you're telling us you didn't know when the first officer had arrived at the scene at Bundy, is that right?
Yes.
But did you have an idea of how many hours it was, without knowing the precise times? How many hours the victims had been at Bundy without any criminalists arriving at the scene?
Your Honor, that calls for speculation and hearsay.
I only knew that the crime scene from Bundy was from the night before, in the early morning hours or the night before.
So you knew it was the early morning hours, and now you were arriving at Rockingham at around 7:15, 7:20.
I object, that misstates the testimony.
Sustained. Again.
Now, in your discussion with the Detective Van Atter, did he express any urgency to you that you should finish your work at Rockingham quickly to get to Bundy?
He did inform me that I did have another crime scene at Bundy, but he didn't rush me along, no.
Well, did he tell you that, did he indicate to you in any way that it would not be a good idea to take a very long time at Rockingham because you might not be able to get to the Bundy scene before the coroners? Did he express that concern to you?
I don't recall that.
Did you have that concern?
Yes.
Did you express that concern to him?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Did you tell Detective Van Adder that you thought you might need some extra help because you had these 2 crime scenes?
I believe I asked him if he wanted another team.
You asked him that.
I think I did.
And you asked him if he wanted another team because you believed that it was important to get criminalists to Bundy as soon as possible.
It was a resource available to him if he wanted it.
Well, you thought it was important to get a set of criminalists to Bundy as soon as possible, didn't you? As you were talking with Detective Van Adder when you first arrived at that scene.
I left it up to his discretion.
He told you that that wasn't necessary?
He never said that.
Well, did he say, no, we don't need the help? The extra help?
I don't recall if he ever said that.
Well, do you have any recollection as to how he responded to your suggestion that it would be a good idea to get some backup, to get another team to Bundy?
It's irrelevant what you said.
Sustained.
Before you spoke to Detective Van Adder, you placed a call to SID, did you not?
Yes, I did.
To notify supervisors.
Yes.
And that's because you thought that this was a case that required immediate notification of supervisors.
Yes.
And when you placed that call at 7:15, you knew that there were 2 crime scenes?
I don't know if it was exactly at 7:15, but I knew that there were 2 crime scenes when I made the call.
All right. Well, did you call SID and speak to a woman named Lisa Scipetta, or Sibetta, somebody from toxicology? Remember of making a first call to her?
I believe my first call was to criminalist Flaherty in toxicology.
You were looking for a supervisor.
Yes, I was.
You were looking for Michelle Kessler.
Yes, I was.
She's the head of the laboratory, or was the acting head at that time?
She was a co-acting.
Co-acting head? All right. But you were looking to talk with her, were you not?
I was looking to speak with a supervisor.
Right, because you, and that's because, well, you tell us. What was it that was going on in your mind that led you to call for a supervisor before you even arrived at the Rockingham scene?
There are guidelines within our laboratory that if there is a high-profile case or a double or triple homicide, something like that, that supervisors be notified.
Those were the policies you and I discussed yesterday. Press, unusual case. Do you remember discussing those?
Yes.
All right. Have you ever seen a written handout in the manual with respect to those policies?
No, I haven't.
Well, moving on. So you felt the need to call for the supervisor at 7:15 before you spoke to Detective Van Adder, right?
Before I spoke
Yes,
to him?
before you spoke to Detective Van Adder, you made this first call to SID looking for Michelle Kessler.
No,
That first notification call was not before you spoke to Detective Van Adder?
it was after.
It was after?
Yes.
Didn't you also then have a conversation at 7:50 with Greg Matheson?
In that time frame, yes.
And at that time, and he was a supervisor, was he not?
Yes, he was.
And you had this conversation
Or
with
is.
Greg Matheson after you spoke with Detective Van Adder.
Yes.
We'll get to that conversation in a minute. But going back to your initial conversation with Detective Van Adder, did he tell you that you would have to be doing some processing of the Bronco,
Yes.
and that the Bronco was part of the crime scene?
Yes.
And after this, and that was after you realized that after this initial conversation you had with Detective Van Adder, right? That you would have to deal with the Bronco.
Yes.
And you didn't know that before you arrived at the scene, did you?
That's correct.
And it was after your conversation, your initial conversation with Detective Van Adder, that you realized that Andrea Mazzola could not act as the, quote, officer in charge of this case.
I thought it more prudent that I be the officer in
I
charge.
think your phrase on direct examination is that after your conversation with Detective Van Adder, you realized that Ms. Mazzola should take something of a back seat. Was those your words?
Yes.
And you gave that explanation on direct examination that prior to going to the scene, when you were filling out your crime scene checklist, Andrea Mazzola's name was written in as officer in charge before you got there. Remember that?
Yes.
And that was because you thought that she was going to be the officer in charge on this homicide case until you arrived at the scene and spoke with Detective Van Adder, right?
Yes.
All right. But it was after your conversation with Detective Van Adder that you first realized that you would have to be doing a vehicle search of the Bronco, correct?
Yes.
Sir, would you please turn to your, you have a form that's known as a vehicle checklist, correct?
Yes.
And you filled one out with respect to the search of the Bronco, did you not?
One was filled out, yes.
Do you have that before you?
Yes, I do.
Could you turn to the first page of it?
Yes.
All right.
Certainly.
Now, this vehicle checklist form, was that withdrawn? On this vehicle checklist form, there is also a box that indicates who is the officer in charge of the vehicle search, correct?
Yes.
And on that box, it's listed as Andrea Mazzola as being the officer in charge of the vehicle search, correct?
Yes.
So, are you sure that you hadn't given up the idea that maybe Miss Mazzola would still be sort of acting as the officer in charge when you got to Rockingham?
I don't understand your question.
You told us the only reason that Andrea Mazzola's name was written in as the officer in charge on the Rockingham checklist is that it was filled out before you got to the scene, right? That's what you said on direct.
That was the reason why she was put in the officer in charge space, yes.
All right. But after you'd gotten to the scene, and after you first learned that you would have to be searching the Bronco, Andrea Mazzola was still listed on the vehicle checklist form as the officer in charge, right?
Yes.
Now, we had some discussion yesterday about the use of this word trainee with respect to Ms. Mazzola. You recall that?
Yes.
And you don't like the description of Ms. Mazzola as a trainee. You don't think that's fair to describe her on June 13th as a trainee. Is that right?
Overruled.
I think a better description of her is criminalist 1.
Criminalist 1. But in terms of her level of experience, you don't feel that it's, what word would you like to use? If not trainee, would you feel more comfortable with the word novice? That she was a novice in processing crime scenes?
It's vague, too.
All right. We understand that when you hire on at SID, you automatically, day one on the job, you're a criminalist 1, right?
If you're hired in that capacity, yes.
Right, so when you get on the job, you're immediately a criminalist 1, fair to say?
Yes.
But being a criminalist 1 doesn't tell one much about the level of experience that you have, correct?
In regard to,
How many crime scenes you've processed, what you know.
that's correct.
And so it's a period, would you say that the course of, there's a course of training as a criminalist 1 that one goes through in terms of experience?
Yes.
You learn by experience.
Yes.
And in terms of learning by experience, Ms. Mazzola was at the very beginning of this process. Fair enough?
She was at the beginning, yes.
Would it be fair to call her a rookie in processing crime scenes?
Sustained. Why don't you just try entry level?
Well, I'm looking for a word that the witness is comfortable with, Your
Well,
Honor, and I'm just
rookie
trying
is
to get
something
one.
that there have been rookies of the year who've been MVPs.
Sure thing. Well, would you call her a novice?
Your Honor, it's argument.
Entry level? Is that, how about that?
Yes.
She's an entry-level person at the beginning of her learning by experience process, at the beginning of it.
She's starting it, yes.
She was starting out.
Yes.
Now, did you tell Detective Van Adder, when you were having this discussion with him about whether help was needed, that Ms. Mazzola was this entry-level person who was starting out?
Your Honor, it's irrelevant.
Overruled.
I don't recall that, no.
You didn't tell him.
I don't recall if I did or not.
You meaning you're not sure.
I'm not sure.
Did you feel that you had a responsibility to tell him that the person that you arrived with at the crime scene was an entry-level person that was starting out?
No.
Well, when you were making your suggestion to Detective Van Adder that you might need some help in this case, didn't you think it appropriate to tell him that one of the reasons you needed help is that you were with a person that was entry-level and just starting out?
No.
Were you reluctant to tell that to Detective Van Adder?
No.
Were you at all intimidated by Detective Van Adder?
No.
You were at all reluctant to question his judgments?
No.
When he turned down your suggestion that you ought to get some extra help in this case, were you reluctant to question that decision?
Assumes the fact, no, no.
Sustained.
Well, you made the suggestion that extra help might be necessary.
I asked him if another team, if he wanted another team.
Right? And you, as I think you just told us, and one of the reasons was you knew there were 2 crime scenes.
Yes.
And you were concerned about getting the criminalists to Bundy before the coroners.
That wasn't the specific reason, no.
Well, that was one reason. Didn't you just tell us that? That was one reason?
I don't think I said that, no.
No? Well, when you made this suggestion that more help might be necessary to Detective Van Adder, did he just ignore that suggestion? Not respond to you at all?
No.
He didn't ignore it?
No, he didn't.
He said, no, we don't need any extra help?
I believe he said something to the effect that he preferred that one team handle both crime scenes so that the chain of custody would not be messed up.
That's what he said?
Something to that effect.
All right. And when he said that, did you then respond to him, well, we have a situation here where one of the people I'm working with is entry level, just starting out? You say that to him at that point?
No.
Did you express any concern to him that whatever worries he had about chain of custody, it was still more important to get another team of criminalists to Bundy before the coroners arrived?
I did not say that to him.
Do you have that concern when he said to you, no, I just want to continue with one team? Did you have that concern?
Your Honor, I have checked and it was background evidence. Maybe I could be heard about that, explain it.
Or will you can answer the question.
Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah. When Detective Van Adder, maybe we have the court reporter repeat the question so you can get it exactly as I asked it the first
Now,
time.
were you concerned at that time that it was important for criminalists to arrive at the Bundy scene before the coroners moved the body?
Not at that time.
No. Now, were you worried when Detective Van Adder turned down your suggestion that other criminalists be called in to help? Were you worried about the fact that you were working with this person who was entry level and starting out?
No.
Were you worried that when you were working with a person who's entry level and starting out, that processing the crime scene would be slower?
State, Your Honor.
Or will
That is not necessarily the case.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. Are you
There
finished?
are, when two people are working, sometimes it goes faster.
But when you're working with, had you ever worked with Andrea Mazzola before this day?
Yes, I had.
How many crime scenes had you done with her?
One.
How long ago was that?
That was 2 days before.
2 days before you did a crime scene with Andrea Mazzola?
Yes.
Where she collected evidence?
Where we were working as a team, yes.
Where she collected evidence. You did a crime scene 2 days before with Andrea Mazzola. You sure of that?
Yes.
Now, you had no concern, were you worried, withdrawn, when you're working with a person who's entry level and starting out, don't you feel it's required for you to observe what she's doing more than you would if it were some other criminalist 2 or 3?
Yes.
So wouldn't the need to observe what this entry-level person was doing make processing the crime scene slower?
Not necessarily.
Well, if you have to observe her, you can't be off doing something else.
That's correct.
And you don't think that would make it slower?
Where I would lose time in one area, I could make up time in another area because there are two people there.
Well, if there were two people there, both of whom were trained, it would go faster, right?
Not necessarily.
No? Were you worried that working with an entry-level person in a high-profile case would put a lot of pressure on her?
Was I worried about it?
Yeah.
I was aware of it.
Were you worried about it?
Your Honor, I'll object, it's irrelevant, whether it is irrelevant.
Sustained.
Were you worried that working with an entry-level person in this kind of a high-profile case when you were at Rockingham would put more pressure on you?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
That was not a concern to me at that time.
Didn't cross your mind?
I didn't think about it, no.
Were you concerned that working with an entry-level person in this kind of case would produce a greater chance of mistakes? Was that a concern of yours that morning at Rockingham?
That would be for any case, not just for a high-profile case. If there's an entry-level person or a person just starting out, I would watch them more closely than someone who is experienced.
So in your mind, that morning at Rockingham, you realized that working with an entry-level person, there was a greater chance of mistakes, right? That's what you just said?
Yes.
All right. And weren't you concerned when Detective Van Adder turned down your request for help that there was a greater chance of mistakes because you were working with an entry-level person and this was a high-profile case?
Got a lot of factors in there. Could we go through them one at a time?
Sure. Asking you, we agreed that you knew when Detective Van Adder turned down your suggestion for extra help that this was a high-profile case, right? You knew that.
Yes.
You knew that you had to go to another crime scene where there was a double homicide.
Yes.
You knew that there would be press people at these crime scenes.
I didn't know that. I assumed there would be.
You anticipated it, didn't you?
Yes.
You anticipated that there would be police brass at these scenes watching your every movement.
Not necessarily, no.
Didn't anticipate that?
What do you mean by brass?
Higher-ups in the police department at the scene watching.
It's higher ups.
Sustained.
All right. High-level officers in the police department, people of high rank. Did you anticipate that they may come to the scenes?
Still there.
Overruled.
People of high rank can always come to a scene.
Well, didn't you anticipate they would be coming to these two scenes?
They could have come, yes.
Well, I'm asking you what your state of mind was. Didn't you anticipate that was going to happen here?
I knew it was a possibility.
So, putting these factors together, she's an entry-level person. It's a high-profile case. There'll be press at the scenes. There'll be high-ranking people at the scenes. Didn't you become concerned when Detective Van Adder refused your request for extra help that there would be a greater possibility of mistakes here because you were using an entry-level person?
Argument is unintelligible.
It assumes that one fact that's not in evidence as well. Also misstates one piece of the evidence.
Maybe the word refused is a problem here. Detective Van Adder did not take your suggestion for extra help, right?
I did not suggest to him,
You made a suggestion to Detective Van Adder that extra help was needed, right?
No,
Not what he said.
You asked him if he wanted extra help,
yes,
all right? And he told you no.
that's correct.
We're focusing on that moment. Now, at that moment, reviewing the factors again, entry-level person, press case, high-ranking officers at the scene, didn't you think at that moment that there was going to be a greater chance of mistakes being made unless you got extra help?
Your Honor, same objections.
Overruled.
I don't recall thinking about that when I was at the scene.
Madam Court Reporter, what's your status? Can you finish the hour? Proceed.
Do you think it was a mistake not to follow up with Detective Van Adder and say, Detective Van Adder, I think that we really ought to get more help in this case?
Your Honor, I
Push him a little harder?
argument in the courthouse demands, sir.
Sustain.
Have you discussed this case with Detective Van Adder since June 13th?
Yes,
Have you discussed with Detective Van Adder this issue of telling him that you were at the scene with an entry-level person?
no,
That hasn't arisen.
I don't recall discussing that with him.
Has Detective Van Adder ever criticized you for not telling him that you were there at the scene with an entry-level person?
I object. It misstates the evidence.
Sustain.
Did Detective Van Adder ever tell you that he didn't think an entry-level person was the kind of person he would like working on this case?
Did he ever state that?
Yes, did he ever state that to you?
No.
Now, Detective Van Adder asked you to process a red stain on the Bronco,
Yes,
and he told you that the Bronco was part of the crime scene.
yes,
But there was no yellow tape around that Bronco, was there?
that's correct.
And there should have been.
Not necessarily.
Wasn't it proper to have a yellow tape surrounding that Bronco so that nobody could get to it, secure it as being within the crime scene?
It is not absolutely necessary to put up yellow tape to denote a crime scene.
Well, isn't it appropriate to put up yellow tape to surround important items of evidence to make sure people don't approach it and touch it?
If the circumstances require it, yes.
Well, in your judgment, didn't the circumstances require putting a yellow tape around that Bronco to preserve the integrity of that important piece of evidence?
In the morning?
That morning,
No,
you didn't think so.
no.
Well, weren't they asking you to take a red stain off the door handle of that Bronco?
Yes,
Didn't you tell us on direct examination that you looked into that Bronco and you saw what you thought were blood stains in the Bronco?
yes,
And did anybody express concern to you that later that Bronco was going to have to processed for fingerprints?
yes.
And you didn't think it was appropriate at that time to put a yellow tape around that Bronco to make sure people didn't walk over and touch that car?
At that,
The testimony is to the word appropriate.
Overruled.
at that time in the morning, there was virtually nobody out in the neighborhood and it was very quiet, and yellow tape may have attracted even more people. So that the use of it wasn't necessary. There was nobody around.
Isn't it true that investigators are supposed to adhere to the criminalist's advice and direction relating to the gathering of evidence?
Yes.
That's been a long-standing policy in the Los Angeles Police Department, hasn't it?
Yes.
You're aware of a memo from a person named Daryl Gates? Have you ever seen a memo by Daryl Gates about this issue?
I don't recall the exact memo, but I am aware of one that touches that topic.
You have that manual. Let me see if I can. Who is Daryl Gates? I'm not from around here.
Daryl Gates is the previous police chief.
He was a police chief here for a long time, wasn't he?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, in your 8 years at SID, has there ever been any conflict between criminalists who go to investigate the scenes and the detectives who are in charge of the scenes in terms of proper procedures for collecting evidence?
Overruled.
I've been with SID for 10 years,
I'm sorry.
and I am not aware of conflicts, as you have stated.
In your 10 years at SID, you've never had a disagreement with the detective at a crime scene as to how evidence should be gathered?
That's irrelevant, Your Honor.
Overruled.
In my experience?
Yeah.
In my experience, I will make my suggestions.
Excuse me, Mr. Scheck, you're going to have to stand someplace where you don't block the jury's view.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
Thank you.
In my experience, I will make my suggestions to the detective, and I have always had the detectives cooperate with my suggestions.
Well, that didn't happen in this case, did it?
How do you mean?
Well, you made a suggestion to Detective Van Adder that you were going to need more help, and he didn't take it.
Sustained.
Maybe it's easier. Give me a minute, Your Honor. I thought it's easier
Certainly.
to find it in my book. I'll show you that document. Have you ever seen that document before?
Yes.
And that's a document concerning the relative responsibilities of the investigators and the criminalists.
Yes.
All right? And it indicates that the investigators are supposed to adhere to the criminalist's advice.
I don't think it's proper for counsel to read the document.
Sustained.
Right? Is it your understanding that investigators are supposed to adhere to the criminalist's advice and direction relating to the gathering of evidence?
Specifically with relating to the gathering of evidence?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And you're familiar with the Los Angeles Department Police Manual, are you not?
I haven't committed it to memory.
Are you familiar with any requirement that it is the responsibility of people from SID to instruct all officers in the department regarding current methods of collecting, marking, and preserving physical evidence?
I don't know what section you're reading that from.
Yes. But it sounds, does that sound to you like your responsibility? Your understanding of what your responsibility is?
You can answer the question.
Yes.
Now, you were saying to us that you didn't think it was necessary to put up a yellow tape to protect the Bronco in the morning
Yes.
because you didn't think that there were a lot of people on the street in the morning.
Yes.
Well, didn't you anticipate that later in the day there would be people going to that scene?
Yes.
I mean, you knew at this point that one of the victims in this case was the former wife of Mr. Simpson.
Vegas to the school.
Sustain.
At 7:15, when you arrived at Rockingham, you knew that one of the victims in this case was Mr. Simpson's ex-wife.
No.
Did you know that you were at Mr. Simpson's house?
I knew that was his residence.
Did you know that Detective Van Adder regarded Mr. Simpson as a suspect?
I don't recall if he relayed that to me or not.
He might have.
He might have. All right.
And is it your testimony that you did not anticipate that as the day went on, that people would be going to that Rockingham residence and would be around that scene?
I anticipated that the Bronco would have been towed away and put into impound.
You were at Rockingham from around 7, what is it, 15 or 7:20?
7:10.
7:10 in the morning until you left at what time? Around 10:15? 10 o'clock?
I left Rockingham at approximately 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. So you're there 2 hours and 50 minutes. I think I've got that one right.
2 hours and 50 minutes, yes.
And during that 2 hours and 50 minutes, were more people arriving at the scene and watching what was going on?
No.
In those 3 hours, when you left, there was no yellow tape on that, surrounding that Bronco, right?
That's correct.
And didn't it occur to you that that was not a sound procedure as you left Rockingham?
2 officers were in charge of protecting that evidence, and yellow tape is not it's not as good a protection as an actual officer.
Isn't the best possible protection the standard protection to have yellow tapes and officers?
That is one method.
Isn't it true that, withdrawn, was it your decision as to whether or not a yellow tape should be put around that Bronco?
No.
Well, aren't you the person that's supposed to essentially be calling the shots with respect to how evidence is gathered?
With respect to how evidence is gathered, yes.
Well, isn't the protection of important items of evidence within that province, the gathering of evidence, protecting it with yellow tape?
That, in my opinion, that is under the purview of the officer in charge of the scene.
So that's not your decision, that's the officer's decision.
Yes.
And that's why you didn't question it? Because it was their decision?
If I thought it was necessary, I would have suggested it to him.
You didn't think it was necessary?
Not at that time.
You don't think it was a mistake? Well, at what time? At what time would it have been appropriate to put yellow tape around that Bronco?
When there were more people around, then it would have been more preferable.
When you left, did you make the suggestion to any officers at the scene You know, guys, maybe you should put some yellow tape around that Bronco soon.
Assumes
Because,
facts not in evidence.
did you? I'm asking, did you?
Guys,
Sorry?
guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you, when you left, God, that's right. Did you, when you left, tell any male or female officers at the scene that perhaps it was a good idea to put some yellow tape around that Bronco?
I did not state that, no.
Wasn't that a mistake?
I don't know if it was a mistake or not.
At 7:50, after your conversation with Detective Van Adder, you spoke to Greg Matheson, did you not?
Yes,
Greg Matheson is a supervisor at SID.
yes,
And you had, at that time, did you express concern to him that you had two crime scenes?
yes,
Did you express concern to him that the victims at Bundy, to the best of your knowledge, had been there since the early morning hours, and you were now talking to him at 7:50 in the morning?
I did speak to him regarding the circumstances of as I knew them. I don't recall the exact conversation, though.
Did you express to him a concern that the criminalists may not get to the Bundy crime scene before the coroners?
I don't think expressed that to him, no.
Did you express to him a concern about using an entry-level person who was just starting out to do the work in this case?
I told him who was with me.
Did you tell him anything about the level of experience of Miss Mazzola?
I don't think I had to.
And that's because you thought he had knowledge of Miss Mazzola's experience level.
Yes,
Did you discuss with him the fact that you had suggested to Detective Van Adder that more help was needed?
I don't know if I discussed that with him or not.
Did you say to him,
I'll make a objection and assumes the fact not in evidence, the motion to strike the witness's testimony.
Misstates testimony.
But the answer was such that the answer will stand.
did
Proceed.
you suggest to Greg Matheson that more help was needed?
I don't know if I said that or not. I don't think I did.
Did he ask you if you needed more help?
He may have.
And did you say no?
At the time, I didn't think I did.
Now, maybe we could turn now to the evidence that you collected at Rockingham for a minute. You indicated that there were a number of red blood drops. Is that correct? That you observed?
Yes.
Now, did you, in terms of how you and Ms. Mazzola approached this, did you perform any what's known as phenolphthalein tests on those blood drops?
Yes.
I'll object based on the earlier rulings.
Oral. Proceed.
Did you?
Yes.
And was that one of the first things you did?
It was one of the things we did.
All right. But in terms of approaching these red stains, there's one that I think is item number 1, the one on the door. Is that correct?
Yes.
And before you swatched that stain, you did a presumptive test on it?
Yes.
All right. And before you took a picture of that stain, you did a presumptive test on it?
I'm not sure which order that occurred in.
Well, with respect to the next, there's item number 4, correct? That's a red stain that you found.
Yes.
All right. Did you first go out and measure that before you took a picture of it? Measure its location?
I'm not sure if the picture was taken first or the measurement was taken first.
Did you do the presumptive test on number 4 before you took the picture?
Best of my recollection, yes.
All right. And you did that with item number 5 as well? First the presumptive test and then the picture?
I believe so.
And item number 6, I believe?
Yes.
And item number 7?
To the best of my recollection.
And item number 8?
To the best of my recollection, yes.
And incidentally, on the, when you went to Bundy, and you and Ms. Mazzola were dealing with items 47, 48, 49, 50, and 52, did you follow essentially the same process?
Essentially, yes.
So you did the presumptive tests on those items first, and then the pictures were taken?
I don't know the exact,
Could have happened that way.
yes.
Now, in terms of these red stains that you found, would you agree that the pattern of red stains that you found was leading from the residence to the Bronco or the Bronco to the front door of the residence?
Yes.
And there is, why don't we try using this, one of these diagrams first. Let me start with, let me start with one of the prosecution's boards, if I might.
Certainly. All right, Mr. Scheck, this is People's Exhibit which?
Yes, it's People's Exhibit number 169, Rob.
All right, thank you. Proceed.
Sorry for the delay. Mr. Funk, could you step down here with me for 1 minute? Now, you found item number 4, a red stain, somewhere just
Council in a second.
All right.
I'm sorry.
All right. Much better. Thank you, Mr. Douglas.
Now, you found drop number 4 on Rockingham, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
All right. And you measured that to be, I guess, 83 9 inches south of the south curb, 2 feet west of the south curb.
Yes,
Approximately where I'm pointing here on the diagram, is that correct?
approximately here.
Then you found a red stain that you identified as number 5. Could you point approximately to where that is on the diagram? If it helps, you...
Referring to a sketch.
Right. In fact, is it this sketch that I have right here?
Yes.
Okay, that's the sketch that you filled out at the time that this was filled out at the time it was recovered, correct?
Yes.
All right. So if you want to come over, you can look at my sketch. I'll just hold it out for you. Okay, so approximately here, that's in front of the gate, right?
Yes.
All right. Then you found drop number 6. Could you show us where that is? Which is, okay. Now, approximately. Now, would you not agree that there were about 4 or 5 feet between drops number 4 and 5?
Approximately.
And if one were to start on a line to the place that I'm pointing here, what would you describe that in terms of the gate? What direction would you describe that as being on this diagram? The northwest side of the gate?
This is northwest, I don't know.
Northwest as it's depicted on this diagram, I guess.
And you're referring to the fence or the gate?
Just the gate
The gate
on this
itself?
line, yeah. If one were to basically...
Right here would be the north end of the gate.
Okay, from the north end of the gate, if one were to walk in a line to the area where there's the garage is depicted, okay? See what I'm saying?
You're saying from here to here?
No, from here to the pathway.
From here to here?
That's right. If you were to draw a line, right, walk on a line from that entryway to the gate directly to the pathway, okay? How many feet would you estimate that roughly to be?
I don't recall the dimensions. I'd have to see something.
Have Detective Van Adder ever discussed a theory with you that Mr. Simpson came home in this case and opened the gate, all right, and then walked along the south pathway to the area where the glove was recovered?
No, it's irrelevant, and it's also hearsay.
Sustain.
Well, just going on a line, all right, from where you found drop number 6, okay, to the south pathway, right?
Yes?
You didn't find, that's about, how many feet would you estimate?
I told you I couldn't give you an estimate.
Well, the distance from the gate to where the glove was recovered was approximately 250 feet.
From the gate to the glove,
Yeah.
I'll have to take your word for it.
He
All right.
testifying, Mr. Schechter?
I asked him that question.
He said, I'll have to take what you say.
Tell you what, let's try it this way. I'd like to mark this document as defense next in order.
1072.
Have you seen this document before, Mr. Fung?
Yes, I have.
And what is it?
This is a sketch? No, it's a surveyor's drawing of the Rockingham residence.
Right. And that gives distances with respect to how far it is from Rockingham Avenue to the garage and the guest house areas.
Yes, it does.
And that was drawn by a surveyor. You are aware of this.
Yes.
And as far as you're concerned, it's accurate.
Irrelevant what this witness is concerned with.
Sustained.
Does this person work with you at SID?
Not anymore.
Did at the time you did this?
Yes.
All right. And you were aware that this was being prepared?
For
It's famous to time.
that it was being, that
Yes.
eventually it would be prepared?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
also irrelevant. I make motion to strike.
Overruled.
It's part of the normal procedures at SID to, in some cases, to have such a surveyor come out and measure the scene.
In some cases, yes.
All right. And in this case, that was done.
Yes.
And it's done in the regular course of business at SID when appropriate.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to strike. I don't think there's any foundation, personal knowledge.
Overruled.
Right? And in appropriate cases, it's in the regular course of business at SID, these kinds of surveyor's diagrams are prepared.
Yes.
And the person that prepares it, to your knowledge, has an obligation to make those measurements accurately.
Irrelevant.
Overruled.
To the best of his ability, yes.
Your Honor, I would offer this diagram and ask to that it be put on the
Your Honor,
Do the measurements on that appear to be accurate?
Please, period.
All right. Proceed.
Okay. Now, looking at that, wouldn't you agree that the distance between the gate and where the glove was found is approximately 250 feet?
Your Honor, I object because it calls for speculation. The witness can only testify what he sees.
Sustained.
You took measurements, did you not, Mr. Fung, on June 13th?
Yes, I did.
All right. And with the, let me ask you. In terms of this diagram over here, this is I'm pointing now, and I'm now referring to people's 169. This is the garage,
Yes.
all right? And this area here, where you tell me, where is the beginning of the guest house? It's depicted in this diagram. Would it be the area I'm pointing right here?
No personal knowledge.
Overruled.
I don't know what part is the guest house.
Well, looking at the diagram on the Elmo, okay? You see a box there that indicates guest rooms.
Your Honor, it's irrelevant what he sees in regard to the guest rooms.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
All right, can you locate that for us on People's 169?
Appears to be this area here.
Where does it start? The area designated guest rooms, would that begin at the, what is marked on People's 169 as the area that says office?
This diagram appears somewhat different from the diagram up on the board.
In what respect?
There is no indentation in this area here.
All right, let the record reflect that the witness is indicating that there is an indentation between I guess the horizontal area between what is the office and the area where there's a call out for number 14. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, for the record, I believe he indicated that there wasn't an indentation.
Yes.
There wasn't an indentation on 169, but there is one on the defense exhibit that you see projected on the Elmo.
Yes.
Which is accurate?
I would have to refer to photographs or visit the scene again. I don't recall.
All right. But other than that indentation, I'm just trying to get you to tell us if where the area that is indicated as guest rooms on the diagram on the Elmo is on People's 169.
This would be very rough. Approximately in this area here.
Indicating the area by what's marked as office. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
On 169.
On 169. Now, you and Ms. Mazzola worked together to make the measurements on June 13th.
Yes.
And you knew at that time that others would later be relying on your measurements as to where various pieces of evidence were found.
Yes.
All right. And you knew that would be important later if people were to make analyses, subsequent analyses of the scene.
Could become a factor, yes.
Just like at Bundy, you made measurements as to where the footprints were.
Yes.
And you knew that those measurements would be relied upon later for all kinds of analysis.
Possibly, yes.
Now, on June 13th, you measured the glove as being located 118 feet east of the west wall of the guest house. Now, could you show us where the west wall of the guest house is?
Guest house.
Yes.
I believe my description of the location was 118 feet east of the west wall.
Doesn't your evidence collection sheet read the glove under location of item 118 feet east of the west wall guest house, 1 foot 4 inches south of the south wall? Isn't that what you wrote?
That is what Criminalist Mazzola wrote, yes.
Oh. Well, looking at the diagram on the Elmo, 118 feet east of the west wall of the guest house, where would that be on the diagram in the Elmo?
That is not the point of reference that is referred to.
I didn't ask you that question. Where would that be?
Then it's irrelevant.
Mr. Fung, objection, that move to strike his answer as being not responsive. My question, Mr. Fung, is where, looking at the diagram on the Elmo, would a location 118 feet east of the west wall of the guest house, 1 foot 4 inches south of the south wall be?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Mr. Fung, the measurement here is wrong, isn't it?
As you are interpreting it, it is wrong, but from where I know the point of reference is, the measurement is correct.
Well, let's put it this way.
Very close to where it was.
Is it your testimony that the entry here of 118 feet east of the west wall of the guest house, 1 foot 4 inches south of the south wall, that entry as written is an incorrect entry?
That's incorrect.
There
Your
was no-
statement is incorrect.
Excuse me, Mr. Funk. I object. There was no testimony to that effect. Motion to strike.
Overruled. Answer will stand.
Can you answer that question?
Your interpretation of that entry is incorrect.
Well, the entry itself, if one were to measure 118 feet east of the west wall of the guest house, that would be a location that is far beyond this air conditioner, all the way somewhere into the planting area out back,
I
right?
object. That's irrelevant.
Sustained.
Well, if one were to call the guest house, as I think you previously did, this office area, is that correct? As depicted on People's 169?
Counsel, I've sustained 4 irrelevancy objections in a row as to that question.
Are you saying that Ms. Mazzola, when she made an entry here, was incorrect?
I am not saying that.
You're saying that, well, what was the guest house then?
The guest house is the approximate location or area to locate where the glove was.
Right. So you're saying 118 feet east of the west wall of the guest house, that
No.
was your reference point.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
What I am saying is the guest house in that entry depicts the general location of where the glove was. The 818 feet east of the west wall is from this point here.
So you're saying 118 feet east of the west wall, and then guest house that follows it, that is not the west wall of the guest house you're referring to?
He's misreading the...
Sustained.
Let's-
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Could we put up on the Elmo the entry that we're talking about, just so everybody can see it? Can you just focus on that? Okay. You see where it says 118 feet east of the west wall?
Wait a minute, he's not reading it correctly. It doesn't say of.
I think the document speaks for itself. You see the entry where it says location of item?
Yes, I did.
All right. Now, doesn't it read across the top line, 118 feet east of the west wall guest house? 1 foot 4 inches south of south wall.
It does state that.
All right. So what you're telling us now is that the west wall you were referring to was not the west wall of the guest house?
The west wall I'm referring to is this wall here.
All right. So you're saying that the
Indicating
west...
wall, indicating the wall of the garage on People's 160.
That's what I was about to, thank you, Your Honor, I was about to indicate that. So, the west wall that you're actually referring to in that entry was the west wall of the garage, not the guest house.
Yes.
And if one were to read just literally what it says there, 118 feet east of the west wall of the guest house, and start measuring from the guest house, that would be an incorrect entry. An incorrect location for where the glove was found.
Your Honor, that's irrelevant.
Overruled.
That's why they're notes, and that's why I
I'm
prepared
just-
a proper report.
I understand, but that's, if one were to literally read it, that would be an incorrect identification
Your
of the
Honor,
measurement.
that's irrelevant. I'm sorry.
Overruled. He can answer the question. He's already
That would
answered
be an
it.
incorrect interpretation of what is there.
All right. Thank you. One, few more questions while we're here. Now, if one goes on a line from where you last found drop number 6, okay, along this south wall, all right, this is a driveway.
Counsel, is there a wall there?
Well, it's actually shrubbery, thank you. Along this shrubbery, on a line to the south walkway, okay, that's a driveway area.
Yes, it is.
Right. On that line, you found no red stains. Right?
approximately this point to this point, I found no red stains in this lower area.
No red stains in this area, correct?
That's correct.
And for the record, perhaps,
All right, that's the area from the driveway to where the pink ends on Peoples 169.
well, for the record, it was from the Y in the word driveway over to the right hand, on this exhibit, the lower right-hand corner of where it's the pink ends. And then I think he also pointed to a point that's just above the Y in what would be sort of a triangle.
Is that
Yes.
Mr. Goldberg saying correct? All right. Now, there's now an area that's in yellow, okay?
Yes.
Now, as one walks down in the area that's yellow on Peoples 169, there's about 4 steps,
To the best of my recollection, yes.
all right? And then there's a cement area, cement walkway area,
Yes.
all right? And on June 13th, there were much fewer leaves in that cement walkway area than there was in the narrow walkway area that I'm pointing to in the area where the glove was recovered, right?
I don't recall exactly which had more leaves. I do recall there was areas that had a lot of leaves and other areas that had less leaves, but I didn't make a note of it.
Well, in terms of the, there are more trees overhanging the area that I'm pointing to now that starts with, what would you call this point? How do you want to describe it? Want to call it, what demarcation do you want to use? This point I'm over here that's just to the left of the call-out box that's 14. That's where the electrical equipment is, electrical door.
Yeah, there's some kind of
All right. From the electrical door box, this is a narrow area, correct?
Yes, it is.
There's more trees overhanging that area.
To the best of my recollection.
And there were more leaves there, weren't there, on June 13th, than there was from the cement area that starts with the garage and goes up to the point where the electrical box is.
I can't recall the amount of leaves.
And you found no red stains from the point where the yellow begins on the garage on Peoples 169 to the point where you found the glove.
That is correct.
All right? None. No red stains
On the pathway itself,
on the pathway itself.
that's correct.
And in the area of the air conditioner, there's a wall.
There is a wall, yes.
And it's made of a stucco type material.
Yes.
All right, and that stucco type material is the kind of thing where if you brush against it with clothing, if one brushes against it with clothing, threads or fibers can get stuck to it.
That's a possibility.
Or you can get an abrasion if one were to bang up against it with bare skin. That kind of stucco can cause an abrasion on one's hand.
Your Honor, that calls for speculation.
Or will.
Possibly.
Now, you found no hair or fiber on the stucco wall area near the air conditioner on June 13th.
That's correct.
You examined the fence in the area where the glove was recovered.
Yes, I did.
You found no fibers on that fence, no hair or fibers on that fence.
I did not see any.
You did not see any.
That's correct.
And were you considering the possibility that somebody might have gone over that fence?
Yes.
And were you considering the fact that somebody might have banged into that wall? That stucco wall.
I did look at the wall, yes.
So you were looking at that carefully because the detectives were instructing you to do so.
compound question.
Well, it actually calls for speculation.
Were you looking at that area? Were you instructed by the detectives to examine that area carefully?
Yes.
And you found no fibers on that stucco wall?
That's correct.
I think we're finished with this item.
All right.
Do you know whether or not there is an automatic sprinkler system at the Simpson residence?
I don't know if there is or not.
So you wouldn't know whether or not it was dew on the lawn or water from the sprinkler system?
That's correct.
Now, you indicated on direct examination that you were the person that went back and recovered the glove, item number 9.
Yes.
And you were the person that was doing all this investigating on the walkway leading up to item number 9.
Overruled.
Investigation in what sense?
Well, you were looking for red stains, you were looking for fibers, you were looking for clues along the south walkway leading up to the glove.
Yes.
And when you went to do this investigation, who accompanied you?
Different people accompanied me at different times.
All right, how many times did you go there?
Approximately four. 4 that I can remember.
Who was there the first time you went?
The first time was with the walkthrough, and I don't recall whether it was Detective Furman and Detective Van Adder who were both at that walkthrough at that time, or just Detective Van Adder, or just Detective Furman. But one of the detectives did escort me back there on my walkthrough,
And this was about how long after you got to the scene?
maybe 5 minutes into the scene.
And was Miss Mazzola with you?
I don't recall if she was with me or not.
All right, how long after that did you then go back and look at that area again, walking towards the glove?
Till the next time I went to
Yeah.
that area, I don't have a,
About how many minutes?
I couldn't give you a good estimation.
Who went with you?
The next time was with Miss Mazzola,
Just the two of you.
to the best of my recollection.
And you were carefully walking down that path looking for evidence.
Yes,
And at that time, were you taking measurements?
yes.
All right. And you had not, how close did you get to the glove?
Within feet of it,
How many?
1 or 2 or 3.
And had you noticed the blue object on the other side of the fence that you've identified as item number 10?
I may have seen it, but I didn't identify it as being relevant evidence.
And tell us about the third time you went.
The third time I went was with the photographer.
And who was that, Mr. Rokar?
I believe so.
And when he was walking down that path, did he bang into the air conditioner?
No,
You don't recall that?
no, I don't.
All right. And that was Mr. Rokar went with you and you directed him to take a photograph.
I believe so.
And that's part of your job. You're supposed to direct the forensic photography.
Yes.
And then the fourth time you went there, you went with whom?
best of my recollection, it was myself. I went by myself, and Detective Furman went on the other side of the fence.
So, in other words, you were walking down the south walkway and Detective Furman was walking on the other side of the fence.
That's how I remember it.
Two of you were walking parallel?
Well, we ended up at this opposite ends of the fence, yes.
And then it was Detective Furman that pointed at this blue object on the other side of the fence?
I think he had indicated to me that there was one before that point, and he went over to, at that point, to help me collect it so I wouldn't have to walk all the way around.
Well, wait a second. You're the criminalist, right?
Yes,
And you're saying that Detective Furman volunteered and he rushed down that south walkway. He walked down that south walkway, right?
I don't know if he rushed or walked.
All right. He was the fellow that went down there and he picked up the evidence.
At my request.
What about Miss Mazzola? You couldn't use her?
To the best of my recollection, Miss Mazzola was picking up the blood evidence 7, or the red stains 7 and 8 at that time.
Well, did you perform any measurements at that point on the that blue item, that blue plastic item?
Yes.
Well, did you measure it? How did you do that? Did it with
It-
Detective Furman?
The plastic container, was almost parallel to the glove, so I made an estimate as to its location.
And you didn't go around the fence to take a look at anything around that plastic container. You left that to Detective Furman.
Yes, I did.
But it's your job, I guess. Well, isn't it your job as the criminalist to be collecting the evidence? You're the one in charge of gathering the evidence?
I'm in charge of gathering evidence.
And did Detective Furman wear any rubber gloves when he was picking up that blue plastic bag?
I believe he used the scoop method that I also use sometimes.
Well, you're saying he didn't have gloves?
I'm saying he used a scoop method.
Well, in using the scoop method, do you know if he had gloves?
I don't know if he had gloves. I don't think he did.
Do you know one way or the other?
No, I don't. I don't think he did, though.
Well, wait a second. If you don't know one way or the other?
I'm not sure.
You don't have an independent recollection of whether he had gloves or not, isn't that right?
That's correct.
All right.
All right.
I think it's a good time to break.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the morning session. Please remember all my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Form any opinions about the case. Do not conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. Do not allow anybody to communicate with you with regard to the case. See you back here at 1:30. Mr. Fung, you may step down. You're ordered to be here 1:30. All right, we'll stand in recess, 1:30. Not before we invite the jurors to rejoin us. All right, counsel, today we're going to go to 3:15 for our break. Change court reporters, go to 4, and then take up the motions regarding coroner's reports at about 4:10. All right, let's have the jurors, please. Gentlemen, Mr. Fung, would you resume the witness stand, please? All right, Mr. Dennis Fung is again on the witness stand, undergoing cross-examination by Mr. Scheck. Good afternoon again, Mr. Fung.
Good afternoon.
You're reminded you were still under oath, sir. And Mr. Scheck, you may resume your cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Good afternoon, Mr. Fung.
Morning.
Mr. Fung, when we left, you were telling us about Detective Furman collecting item number 10. I think you told us yesterday, did you not, that he transferred that, he handed that to you over the fence?
Yes.
All right. But your recollection now is not very clear on exactly whether he used the scoop method or gloves.
Sustain. Phrase the question.
Do you have a clear recollection as to whether or not Detective Furman had gloves?
No.
And do you have a clear recollection as to whether he used the scoop method?
No.
And is it your testimony that he picked this item up and he handed it to you over that fence? Is that how it happened? Or do you recall?
It was in a coin envelope, and he handed it to me over the fence.
So it was one of those little coin envelopes?
Yes.
And given the fact that it's a little coin envelope, would it not be difficult to be using the scoop method with the coin envelope?
Calls for speculation.
Sustain.
Well, ordinarily, would you use the scoop method with one of those small coin envelopes?
I've done it before.
It's fairly difficult, isn't it, as opposed to a large paper bag?
No.
No?
It is more difficult, but it's not a lot more difficult.
Okay, so it's more difficult.
A little bit, yes.
And this, ask this photograph be marked as defendant's next in order.
1073.
1073.
All right, defense 1073.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Mr. Fong, is this a photograph of item number 10 as you saw it on the morning of June 13th?
Yes.
May I put this on the Elmo, Your Honor? Mr. Fung, given the location of that item number 10, if one were to use the scoop method there, you might get some leaves or debris into the coin envelope.
Perhaps.
Perhaps, don't you think that's likely given its location?
Not necessarily, no.
No? And to the best of your recollection, there are no leaves in that coin envelope, are there?
To the best of my recollection, yeah, there are no leaves in the...
All right. So, if Detective Furman were to have used gloves and picked that up and put it into the coin envelope, it would be less likely to have leaves in it, wouldn't you think?
Your Honor, it's irrelevant.
Calls for speculation.
Mr. Fung, let's move on to the Bundy crime scene. You arrived there about what time?
I arrived there at 10:15 in the morning.
And before you got there, did it come to your attention that a still photographer had already been on the scene and had taken pictures?
Yes.
And there was about the brown men's leather glove that you observed at the Bundy location.
Yes.
And you were shown some pictures of that.
Yes.
All right. And I'm at line 8, page 337. Question. Was one of those items a brown man's... $377. Question?
Your Honor, I don't know whether the court has access to a transcript, but I would object to this as improper impeachment.
Forward sidebar with the report. And the transcript.
I have one other thing that maybe can avoid this problem. I'd ask that this photograph be marked defendant's next in order. Mr. Fung, have you ever seen this photograph?
I've seen photographs like it, but I don't recall if I've seen that particular photograph.
Have you ever seen a photograph depicting the glove at Bundy that included a person pointing at it?
I don't recall.
All right. Mr. Fung, we're now back to the grand jury pages. Were you asked these questions?
All right, with the court reporter. All right, thank you, counsel. Proceed.
Mr. Fung, why don't we try this with Peoples 55? Have you seen this photograph before?
Before today,
Yes.
I don't recall seeing that particular photograph. I do recognize the location, though.
Recognize the location as being the Bundy crime scene?
Yes.
And based on other photographs that you say you're familiar with, would it be your view that this is a photograph of Detective Furman pointing at the Bundy glove?
That would call for speculation, Your Honor.
Based on the other photographs he says he's aware of.
Overruled.
I can't make out if that's Detective Furman or not.
But you see it as some individual pointing at that glove, right?
Yes.
And I take it, just looking at the Bundy crime scene as it's depicted in this photograph, this is not in exactly the same form, this crime scene is not in exactly the same condition as when you first saw it on June 13th.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, you have permission for Mr. Harris to put this on the Elmo and
Okay, hold on just a second. We need to,
cut the feed. And, I
Mr.
asked-
Goldberg, do you want to warn any family members?
Well, he's going
All right.
to focus in on a segment of this photograph.
Much
And,
as I trust Mr. Harris, just as a forewarning.
I know
All right.
what it is.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Fung, you can see the photograph that's equals 55 in evidence.
Yes.
All right. Now, do you see a piece of paper in this photograph that you did not see when you arrived at the Bundy crime scene on June 13th?
I don't know what you're referring to.
You don't?
I mean, is there something in particular you want me to?
Yes. Your Honor, I'm going to attempt to use the telestrator. Actually, I think I'd better off having Mr. Harris.
All right, how about you put the arrow at the item that you're directing Mr. Fung's
Yes.
attention to?
Do you see where the arrow is pointing, Mr. Fung?
Yes.
All right. Does that appear to you to be a piece of paper?
Yes.
All right. You didn't see that piece of paper when you arrived at the Bundy crime scene, did you?
I don't recall if I saw it or not.
Did you recover that piece of paper?
No.
Given the location of that piece of paper in relation to the crime scene, do you believe that it might have some relevance?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Sustained.
In your view, as a criminalist, if you had seen that piece of paper at the Bundy crime scene, would you have collected it as relevant evidence?
I might have.
Might have?
Yes.
Well, that piece of paper is close to the envelope.
Yes.
It is close to the body of Miss Nicole Brown Simpson.
Yes.
That is the what is being obliterated by the post-it on the right-hand side of the picture, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you would have collected it, would you not? Because it could have the shoe impression on it of one of the assailants.
If I had seen, assuming that I had seen the paper, I would have made a determination whether it would have been a good piece of evidence that would likely to have had some type of significance to it.
Right? If you had been at the scene, if you had seen that piece of paper, you would have examined it to see if it had shoe impressions.
Possibly, yes.
Possibly?
Look for possible shoe impressions.
Possibly, you would have looked at it, right?
Yes.
For that purpose. That would be one of the purposes.
That is one of the purposes,
All right.
yes.
You would also want to see, if you had been able to, whether or not that piece of paper had any writing on it.
Your Honor, I object. This is irrelevant.
Overruled.
Yes.
In terms of basic crime scene reconstruction, would you have considered the possibility that that piece of paper could have been ripped out of the hands of a killer?
Possibly.
It would be important to examine, in your judgment, that piece of paper for fingerprints.
Yes. In the state that it appears in the picture, yes.
And from the point of view of a criminalist, sir, it was a mistake not to collect that piece of paper.
Your Honor, I'll object as there's no foundation that he saw it.
Seeing it now.
Overruled. You can answer the question.
Possibly, yes.
Serious mistake.
Could have been a mistake.
Oh, he's answered the question. Proceed.
So you've admitted, yes, it's a mistake.
Sustain. Rephrase the question.
Is there any question in your mind, Mr. Fung, that if you had been at this crime scene and seen that piece of paper where it was located, that you would have attempted to collect it with great care? Any question?
Your Honor, perhaps the
I-
witness needs to look at a photograph of better resolution.
Or will.
I had one.
Can I answer?
Answer.
Looking at the picture and the condition of the paper, I probably would have collected it.
You're saying probably. My question to you, is there any doubt whatsoever in your mind that you would have picked up that piece of paper if you'd been there to see it?
Argumentative.
Or will.
I don't know.
You don't know?
That's argumentative.
When you examined the crime scene later, Mr. Fung, you observed a Bonita Ecuador label, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And can you point out where in the photograph that Bonita Ecuador label was?
Your Honor, it may be necessary for you to see the rest of the photograph.
Or will. Can you tell from this photograph where that label was?
In a general sense, yes.
Can you give us a general sense of where it was located?
It was located someplace near the center of the walkway.
Mr. Harris has a roving arrow, and perhaps you could direct it.
Lower, over more to the right. In that area someplace.
Okay, can we make a mark? All right. Now that is the location where you found the Bonita Ecuador label.
Around there, yes.
All right. And you collected that.
Yes.
You thought that was relevant evidence.
I collected that at the request of Detective Lang.
So Detective Lang thought that was relevant evidence.
Yes.
Did you agree with his judgment?
I didn't question it.
You didn't question it.
That's correct.
And generally speaking, Mr. Fung, you don't question the judgment of the homicide detectives, do you?
It's a little overbroad.
Sustain.
So you picked up the Bonita Ecuador label, but you're telling us you're not sure whether or not you would have picked up the piece of paper in that photograph?
That's argumentative.
Sustain.
Okay, I guess we'll print that out and mark this. Maybe, should we put a BE over that little spot as Bonita Ecuador?
Your Honor, I just think it's important, I don't know whether the illustrator does this, but I think it's important for the record to indicate what section of the photograph is blocked off. I don't know if that's done
That's-
once they print it out.
It'll be on the print.
All right. Proceed.
Now, Mr. Fung, what is trace evidence?
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, we need to mark this. Why don't we make, since it is a copy of the People's Exhibit, let's make this 55A. 55B? All right, 55B. A and B? Great. All right. Mr. Scheck.
What, in your judgment, is trace evidence? How do you define that term?
Trace evidence, examples of trace evidence are hair, fiber, paint, chips of glass, mineral, soil, that type of thing.
Well, would you agree that trace evidence can be thought of as evidence occurring in sizes so small that it can be transferred between two surfaces without being noticed?
Some forms of trace evidence, yes.
Many forms.
Yes.
Hairs,
Yes.
fibers.
Yes.
And how do you define transfer evidence?
I've heard the term, but I can't give you the exact definition.
Well,
I'd have to look it up.
Would you agree that transfer evidence, strictly speaking, is evidence which is exchanged as a result of contact between two objects?
That can be one definition, yes.
And trace evidence, small hairs and fibers, can often be transfer evidence as well. In other words,
Yes.
yes. And that's something that you as a criminalist are very concerned about. Trace evidence.
I am concerned with trace evidence, yes.
When you approach a crime scene, you're very concerned about trace evidence because it is fragile
Yes.
and because it can be easily transferred from one object to the other if the criminalist or others on the scene are not careful.
Yes.
And there is something known as secondary transfer. Is there not?
I've heard that term also.
And would secondary transfer refer to a situation where trace evidence could get on a person's clothing or, let's say, a towel, for example, then be transferred to another location and fall off on another object of evidence? That would be a secondary transfer.
Yes.
And as a criminalist, you are very concerned about not contaminating a crime scene with trace evidence by way of a secondary transfer.
If it is a crime scene where trace evidence is of significance, yes.
This was a crime scene where trace evidence was significant.
Certain aspects of the crime scene were important for trace evidence, yes.
The small area at Bundy where the two victims were found, that area was one of concern with respect to trace evidence.
Areas of that, areas within what you described were very important for trace evidence,
Very
yes.
important.
Very.
Very important in terms of the clothes of the victims.
Yes.
Very important in terms of that glove that was found at Bundy.
Yes.
Very important in terms of that knit hat.
Yes.
Very important in terms of all the physical objects that surrounded the victims in that very small enclosed crime scene.
That's overbroad.
Overruled.
Some items of evidence tend to be more useful for trace evidence than others.
Well, these were items that you anticipated as soon as you got there would be important in terms of trace evidence.
Sustained.
The glove. the hat, the clothing of the victims, the objects surrounding the victims. As soon as you arrived at the crime scene and saw all of that, you knew these objects would be important in terms of collecting them for trace evidence.
Still vague and overbroad as to the
Sustained.
objects.
When you say objects all around, I mean, that's way too vague. Just stick with the specifics.
We'll stick with the specifics. Thank you, Your Honor. The glove, the hat, the clothing of the victims, all those were important in terms of trace evidence.
Yes.
Now, when you arrived at the crime scene, you saw that there was a blanket over the body of Nicole Brown Simpson.
I don't know, I don't recall being there that soon. When I got there, the body of Miss Simpson was being processed.
When was the first time you saw the blanket?
I saw the blanket when it was on the ground.
It was on the ground in the area where Miss Simpson's body was.
Yes.
And you came to learn in your investigation that day that the blanket had been used to cover the body.
Yes.
And you came to learn that that blanket had come from the home of Nicole Brown Simpson.
I did not know that.
Have you found that out?
Since then, yes.
And did you make any inquiry on that day about where that blanket had come from?
No, I didn't.
And would you agree, sir, that a blanket of that kind is a possible source of secondary transfer?
Possibly.
And that if Mr. Simpson had been in that home and been sitting, lying on that blanket, his hairs could be in that blanket?
Calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Well, within your expertise, is that the kind of blanket that if somebody were sitting on it, lying on it, one would expect to find hairs that they had shed on the blanket?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Well, in your expertise as a criminalist, do you have to make judgments about different kinds of items that can be sources of possible secondary transfer?
Yes.
You have to worry about such objects being brought into crime scenes.
Yes.
You have to be worried about such objects being brought into crime scenes because they can be a source of contamination.
Yes.
And if this blanket had hairs from Mr. Simpson, that could have been brought to the crime scene by way of putting the blanket there.
Same objection.
Sustained.
To a hypothetical question. Assuming that Mr. Simpson had been in the home at Bundy and on a number of occasions had sat or lay on that blanket and shed hairs on that blanket, and then that blanket was taken and put right in the middle of this crime scene, in your expert opinion, could that be a source of cross-contamination of Mr. Simpson's hairs to this crime scene?
Your Honor, I make the same objection. Can we approach?
Yes, with the court order.
Not this case.
We'll see.
All right. All right, thank you, counsel. Proceed. And I think I've already instructed the jury as to hypothetical questions.
Thank you. Mr. Fung again. Assuming that Mr. Simpson had been in the Bundy residence, had sat or lay on that blanket, shed hairs on that blanket, and that blanket was taken, put in the middle of this crime scene, could that, in your expert opinion, be a source of secondary transfer of his hairs to the crime scene?
It's possible.
Possible?
Yes.
All right. And that would be what is known as contamination of the crime scene.
Yes.
And if Mr. Simpson or any of his children or Miss Nicole Brown Simpson had been in Mr. Simpson's Ford Bronco, picked up fibers from that Bronco, and at some point in time sat or lay on that blanket, there could be fibers from the Bronco on that blanket.
Objection calls for speculation, Your Honor.
Rephrase the question.
Could there be, in your expert opinion, assuming that Mr. Simpson or his children or Miss Nicole Brown Simpson had been in Mr. Simpson's Ford Bronco and gotten fibers from that Bronco on their clothing at some point in time, and then at some other point in time sat or lay on that blanket, fibers could be shed from the Bronco to the blanket?
There's no foundation, calls for speculation.
Overruled. This is another hypothetical question.
Premise of a hypothetical. Are you with me so far?
It's kind of hard to follow, but yes.
And if a dog, have you seen this dog, Cato?
The canine? No.
Cato the dog.
No, I haven't.
In the course of your involvement in this case, you've never seen a dog named Cato?
No, I haven't.
Not at the Rockingham location at some point when you did subsequent searches? Did you see this dog, Cato?
I don't know the dog by name.
Well, were you told that there was a dog that was owned by Mr. Simpson that was involved in this case in some connection?
Objection calls for hearsay and irrelevant.
Overruled.
I know that there was a dog involved in the case somehow, but I couldn't identify that dog for you.
And again, as a basis for this hypothetical, can you assume that if a dog were lying on this blanket in question or moving on this blanket in question, that dog hairs can be transferred to the blanket?
Your Honor, it's irrelevant, calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Yes.
You can answer the
All
question.
right? And the dog itself may have hairs and fibers from other people with whom it has been in contact.
Yes.
That happens, right? In your judgment.
It's possible.
And assuming that to be the fact, that a dog could have shed fibers and hairs on the blanket, and people who had been the children of Mr. Simpson, Mr. Simpson himself, and Miss Nicole Brown Simpson had been in and out of the Bronco and been on that blanket, hairs and fibers from the dog and from the Bronco could be on that blanket.
It's quite a lot for me to
Quite a lot, huh? Assess.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors in there.
Yeah. I'm just asking you to, let's just assume all that occurred and those fibers are on that blanket, all right?
Okay.
You with me?
Yes.
Then if that blanket were transferred and put right into the middle of the crime scene, there is a chance of secondary transfer of those hairs and fibers across this crime scene.
Yes, there is a chance.
As a general principle as a criminalist, you try at all costs to avoid taking an object that could have lots of hairs and fibers on it and putting it right into the middle of a crime scene, don't you?
That's correct.
That's a terrible mistake from the point of view of a criminalist, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's a terrible mistake, particularly when bodies are being removed and they're being dragged into the same area where that blanket was.
It can be, yes.
Because that creates a situation where you can have cross-contamination of the fibers from the blanket, and it can come into contact with the clothing of Nicole Brown Simpson.
Your Honor, I think it's unintelligible at this point because the hypothetical so many layers to it.
Overruled.
Could you repeat the last part of this?
We've agreed that it was a terrible mistake to put this blanket into the middle of the crime scene, haven't we?
Your Honor, that misstates the testimony.
I'm asking.
Overruled.
We're talking about a hypothetical here.
Well, now let's talk specifically.
Okay.
This blanket, it was a terrible mistake to put this blanket from inside the house into the middle of the crime scene because of the dangers of cross-contamination of hairs and fibers.
Argumentative and vague as to the word terrible mistake.
Overruled.
Depending on how clean the blanket was, that would affect my answer.
Well, if you had no idea how clean the blanket was, wouldn't it still be a terrible mistake to bring a blanket from inside the house right into the middle of the crime scene?
I would prefer that it was not done.
I'm asking you, was it not, let's start with this, a mistake?
Your Honor, at this point, it is argumentative.
Well, counsel, you've already asked the question now several times. You've gotten 3 or 4 definitive answers.
Well, Your Honor, I think
I agree, terrible mistake, preference not to have been done. I think you've established the point.
he's back to possible now.
No,
All
you've
right.
got your record. Proceed.
I'll move on. Assuming that this blanket, well, you had no way of knowing whether that blanket was clean or had fibers on it and hairs, right?
That's correct.
And let's just assume that it did, and even a blanket that appears to be clean can have lots of hairs and fibers on it because the nature of trace evidence is that you really can't see it with the naked eye.
Some trace evidence you can see with the naked eye.
Well, this kind of trace evidence, hairs and fibers, are often not noticed.
You have to look carefully, yes.
So you could look at a blanket and think it was clean, and it could be just full of hairs and fibers.
Possibly. It will have fibers because that's what most blankets are made of.
Hairs and fibers from other sources than just what was made up of the blanket itself.
Possibly, yes.
I mean, and one goes about looking for the hairs and fibers later with a strong stereo microscope to pick them up, right?
Sometimes, yes.
Now, based on your observations at the crime scene that day, Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's body was in the area of that blanket,
Yes.
and Mr. Goldman's body was eventually placed in the area of that blanket.
Yes.
And assuming that blanket had hairs and fibers and other trace evidence on it, that could be a source of contamination of anything that was subsequently found on Mr. Goldman's clothing.
I believe the coroner's personnel had placed a sheet and a plastic sheet over the blanket before placing him on it.
Well, given the nature of transfer, just the fact that the blanket is there, even if they put a plastic sheet over it, isn't there a grave danger from the point of view of the criminalist of these secondary transfers occurring when Mr. Goldman's body is put there?
It's vague as to the term grave danger.
Sustain.
All right?
You also forgot the sheet.
Let's start it this way. If there were two individuals from the coroner's office that were involved in moving the body,
Yes,
and Detective Lang was present at the time that the body was moved,
yes,
and Detective Lang could have come in contact with the blanket.
Well, Your Honor, this calls for speculation.
Sustain.
Assuming Detective Lang came in contact with the blanket, could his clothing be a source of secondary transfer from the blanket to Mr. Goldman's clothing?
Objection, improper hypothetical, calls for speculation.
Overruled.
if he was not careful, yes.
Could Mr. Jacobo from the coroner's office, the man we've seen, he was in a blue suit, right, that day?
I don't know him
The
personally.
man in the blue suit from the coroner's office,
The jumper suit?
the jumper suit.
Okay.
If his clothing or body or hands came into contact with that blanket, he could have been a source of the secondary transfer of hairs and fibers from the blanket to Mr. Goldman's clothing.
Possibly.
Miss Ratcliffe from the coroner's office as well. She was the woman investigator from the coroner's office. You recall her?
I recall there being two personnel there, yes.
Right. You remember an African-American woman? You remember seeing her there from the coroner's office?
Yes.
She was the one that had the gray shoes.
I don't remember her shoes.
You've seen her on the video?
Yes.
Same with her, right? Same answer? That if she came in contact with the blanket, she could have been a source of secondary transfer as well.
Possibly.
All right. If you came into contact with the blanket, you could have been a source of secondary transfer
Two.
to Mr. Goldman's clothing.
I was not in that area when the bodies were being processed.
You were not in the area where Mr. Goldman's body was?
Not on the blanket.
I'm sorry?
Not on the blanket. Not that I recall.
I mean, were you in that area where the blanket was and then went over to the area where Mr. Goldman's body was?
Well, it's vague as to time.
Sustain.
At any point before Mr. Goldman's body was moved, did you walk through the area where the blanket was to the area where Mr. Goldman's body was?
I don't recall if I did or not. I don't think I did.
This blanket could have been a source of getting, assuming that the blanket had been covered with hairs and fibers from people within the home, that blanket could then have been a source of secondary transfer to the hairs and the fibers in the whole area of that walkway, that area where Miss Simpson's body was found.
Possibly.
And if an object such as the glove or the hat at Bundy were dragged out into that walkway, they could have become contaminated by hairs and fibers from the blanket.
Improper hypothetical, calls for
Sustain.
speculation.
Assuming the blanket was covered with hairs and fibers and it was placed in the middle of the crime scene, and hairs and fibers from the blanket were spread out from the crime scene, and assuming further that the glove or the hat was dragged into that area when Mr. Goldman's body was moved, they could have become contaminated with hairs and fibers from the blanket.
Same objection.
Overruled.
Possibly.
you saw this blanket at the scene throughout the afternoon when you were processing the Bundy crime scene.
Yes.
And when you left, the blanket was left there,
Yes.
and it was not picked up.
That's correct.
It had blood on it.
Yes, it did.
Frankly, for all you know, it could have had cellular material from people in the Simpson household who had lain on the blanket or sat on the blanket.
Possibly.
You know what I mean by cellular material?
You mean material which would have DNA evidence on it?
Yes.
Yes.
Saliva.
Could it have saliva evidence
Yes,
on it?
no, saliva is a source of DNA evidence.
Now counsel's testimony.
Rephrase the question.
Is saliva a source of DNA evidence?
I'm not a DNA expert. I can't tell you that.
Well, in your training as a criminalist, have you been instructed that saliva can be when spread over a surface, can be a source of evidence for future DNA analysis?
I know it can be analyzed, but I'm not a DNA person. I don't know if saliva can be. Maybe something in the saliva that's associated with it can be, but I don't know if saliva itself is subject to DNA analysis.
Well, saliva, have you ever heard the term amylase?
I've heard the term. I don't know what it is, though.
Do you know whether or not saliva contains cells from the inside of one's mouth?
It can.
All right. And do you know, has anybody ever told you whether or not the cells from the saliva, the cells from the inside of one's mouth can be a source of evidence for purposes of DNA analysis?
The cells inside the mouth can be, yes.
And you've even heard of exemplars being taken where someone would put a cotton swab and swab the inside of someone's mouth to take a representative sample for purposes of DNA testing.
Of the cells, yes.
Yes. And the cells from inside the mouth, you would expect, based on your own knowledge, would be in saliva and a source of DNA analysis.
I don't know how easily the cells from the mouth are transmitted into saliva. I've never done a study on it, and I've never worked serology.
From your own common sense, would you expect that saliva contains cells from...
Well, at this point, given his answers, we're speculating.
Okay. Okay. This blanket, withdrawn. Would you agree, looking back, that this blanket could have been a source of trace evidence?
Yes.
Right. And would you agree it would be important to know if that blanket contained hairs and fibers from Mr. Simpson, Miss Nicole Brown Simpson, their children, or the dog Cato?
Objection, Your Honor. It's argument that it's the word important.
Oh,
Yes.
It would be important to know if that blanket contained fibers that would be consistent with Mr. Simpson's Bronco.
Possibly, yes.
Important if it even had hairs or fibers that were consistent with Mr. Goldman, if he'd ever been in the house and lain or sat on that blanket.
Possibly.
But that blanket was left at the crime scene and never picked up for future analysis.
That's correct.
That was a mistake, wasn't it?
It could be considered one.
Incidentally, you've observed the videos.
Yes.
And have you seen in any videos that the blanket over over on Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's back or body when it was still at the crime scene?
I've never seen videos of that, no.
You've never seen a video that seemed to with the blanket over her back?
I may have. I don't recall specifically if I have or not.
Okay. Now, at this point, I'd want to show Mr. Fung a video. Do you want to look at it first? Go ahead. Mr. Goldberg can preview it on the monitor. I think it's actually a segment we've seen before.
Hey, we can view it on council's monitor without displaying it to the jury. Are we familiar with this segment?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's proceed.
Mesh. Look at this segment, Mr. Fung, that you've just viewed. You've seen this before, haven't you?
I don't know if I've seen it in its entirety, but I've seen portions of it.
Yes. Now, that is Detective Lang talking with Miss Ratcliffe from the coroner's office.
Yes.
And that's Detective Lang putting the blanket down over Ms. Simpson.
Yes.
Now, looking at this segment, see if you can tell us, if you recall, let's stop it right there, okay? Now,
All right, that's at 1:18:17:17.
at this point, do you know which of the two victims was being removed by the coroner's office at this point in time?
To the best of my recollection, that was Mr. Goldman.
And how long had you been at the scene before this took place, to the best of your recollection?
Approximately 5-10 minutes.
And when you got to the scene, Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's body had not yet been removed from the scene.
She was in the process of being moved.
But when you say that, had she been turned over on her back?
Well, cause for speculation.
Forward.
over on her back. I believe so.
Well, when you got to the crime scene, did you ever have an opportunity to see Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's body in the condition, in the position where you were informed it was originally found?
I don't believe so.
So by the time you got there, she had been already, her body had already been turned over on its back by the coroners.
I believe so, yes.
So you never got an opportunity to see her back, exposed back.
That's correct.
You never got an opportunity to see any blood drops on her back.
That's correct.
And if you had seen those blood drops on her back, you would have been able to swatch them and remove them for future biological analysis.
Well, it's irrelevant as to whether you would be able to.
Oral.
The collection of evidence on the body is the jurisdiction of the coroner.
But working together, the coroners, the detectives, and the criminalists can decide that it would be useful for the criminalist to collect evidence from a body found at a homicide scene.
It's possible. Usually the coroner will have his own, or the coroner's department has their own criminalist, though.
But the coroner's department criminalist wasn't there.
That's correct.
And this is already 10:15 in the afternoon, in the morning,
Yes,
and the coroner's office didn't have their criminalist there.
that's correct.
And you were the only criminalists at the scene,
Yeah, no, Miss Mazzola was there also.
and Miss Mazzola, right?
And Chief Forensic Chemist Johnson.
And between that chief forensic chemist Johnson, he's a supervisor, right?
Yes, he is.
And we're going to see him, you've seen him in videos. He's a heavy-set guy in a blue blazer.
Very tall also.
Tall, okay. Now, given the fact that you're the criminalist at the scene, if there had been no coroner's criminalist at the scene, wouldn't it have been your responsibility to remove the blood drops from Nicole Brown Simpson's back?
Not necessarily, no.
Well, if the criminalist from the coroner's office isn't there, and you're not going to do it, who could do it?
It might wait until the body was transported back to the coroner's office, and it could be done there.
But, Mr. Fung, if the body is turned over on its back, on her back, that could smear, and contaminate those blood drops.
It's possible.
And wouldn't it be the wise practice, the sound practice, to have a criminalist, be it from the coroner's office or SID, remove those blood drops before Ms. Simpson was turned over on her back?
It'd be preferable,
Preferable?
yes.
Well, if it wasn't going to be done by a criminalist at the scene, be it from your office or the coroner's office, and she's turned over on the back, it's not going to happen, right?
Sustained.
Well, Mr. Fung, it's your testimony that you were at the scene too late to remove those blood drops from her back before she was turned over.
Misstates the evidence.
Sustained.
When you got there, she was already turned over on her back.
I believe so.
Well, when she's turned over on her back, well, withdrawn. The blanket that was on her back before she was turned over, that might contain transfers of the blood from her back.
Possibly.
And that could have been analyzed if it had been secured, brought back to the laboratory.
Yes.
And if that analysis, withdrawn. Okay, let's get back to the picture.
Are you
So-
shifting right now?
I'm sorry?
Are you shifting, or we want to finish?
I'm going, I did a segue. I'm sorry. Going right back to the video now.
I need to change court reporters.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
This time?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. Please remember my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Let's have it quiet in the courtroom, please. Believe it or not, the admonition is a very important and necessary part of the court proceeding each time.
Okay, everybody, and this will likely complete tonight's stream on the OJ trial coverage. Hope everybody has a good evening, afternoon, day, wherever y'all are. And peace.